course of this, and it's hard to predict how it ends up.
North Korea's finances and exports will get hit by the sanctions as a response to continued weapons tests. The communist nation is singling out the U.S. as the main force behind the sanctions, saying there is no bigger mistake than the United States believing that its land is safe across the ocean. President Trump has a familiar Twitter target. Joe Gomez reports.
President Trump attacked Connecticut Democrat Richard Blumenthal in a series of tweets this morning, again criticizing Senator Blumenthal for lying about his service during the Vietnam War. Trump ripped Blumenthal as a, quote, phony Vietnam con artist.
Inmates are no longer in control of a maximum security prison in central Arkansas. 6 inmates are believed to have taken the keys from guards during a recreation call at the facility in Tucker. 3 guards were taken hostage as the prisoners took control. Singer Sinead O'Connor says she's living in a New Jersey motel and battling severe depression.
I'm fighting like all the millions and millions that I know I'm one of to stay alive every day.
In a heartbreaking video posted on Facebook, O'Connor says she's dealing with mental illness and has often considered suicide. The MTV Video Music Awards August 27th will feature Miley Cyrus, Lorde, and Fifth Harmony. Shawn Mendes, The Weeknd, and 30 Seconds to Mars will also sing at the ceremony hosted by Katy Perry. That's the latest. I'm Tom Roberts.
From the KCAA Weather Center, this is Rod Arlen. Mostly clear skies tonight, 64 degrees for the low. Tuesday, a hot 97 degrees with mostly sunny skies. Wednesday, we're up to 95 again, mostly sunny. And Thursday, stay in the course with 97 degrees, mostly sunny skies, low down to 65. That's your weather forecast for this hour from KCAA, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM. 3-in-1, the trifecta of talk in Southern California.
Hello, I'm Pastor Greg Young, inviting you to join me each Tuesday and Thursday afternoon at 1 p.m. right here on KCAA for Chosen Generation Radio, the show where no topic is off limits and everything is filtered through biblical glasses, dynamic interviews, and no fake news. It all happens live at 1050 a.m., 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, and online at kcaaradio.com, 1 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm Pastor Greg. Please tune in. KCAA, the stations that leave no listeners behind.
This is Dick from Carpet Masters. Carpet Masters has been serving the Inland Empire for over 60 years. We are locally owned and operated by the Stevens family. We not only clean carpet and furniture, we clean many loose rugs, including Oriental rugs. Oriental rugs are cleaned in our modern facility where the fringes are cleaned by hand, then hung in our modern facility to dry. We do not use steam cleaning to clean your fine furniture. Furniture is cleaned by hand using the same absorption cleaning used in the White House. Some furniture we bring into our plant to clean properly. We normally use 2 men on each cleaning job using the extraction method. There is nothing that will clean carpet better for our customers. Our job is to clean properly with quality first. Google Carpet Masters San Bernardino and give us a call, or go to carpetmasterssocal.com.
It's time to make the Tri-City Center in Redlands a regular part of your weekly shopping experience. Tri-City is home to a wide assortment of quality businesses. Soon, the Tri-City Center will become home to DC Furniture and Ocean Aquatics. You can purchase good quality furniture and accessories at DC Furniture. Ocean Aquatics will offer a wide variety of exotic tropical fish along with food, accessories, and tanks of all shapes and sizes for every home or business. The Tri-City Center is located just off the I-10 between Alabama and the Tennessee exits in Redlands. Visit the Tri-City Center today and discover why it's called the Mall with a Heart.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at kcaaradio.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Here's to Your Health with Joshua Lane. Here's to Your Health discusses the current thinking in wellness, bringing you the most influential thinkers in beauty, fitness, and longevity. Your host, Joshua Lane, was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that helped bring wheatgrass sprouts and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health, Joshua Lane.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health. I'm your host, Joshua Lane, and calling in this evening is John Harrison, the president of Domacha, the matcha green tea company that is so popular. And John Harrison is a regular contributor to Here's to Your Health. John, thank you for calling in this evening. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh. It's good to be back on again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to have you on. And for those listeners to Here's to Your Health who have heard John on the show before, John Harrison, if one man is responsible for making matcha green tea popular in the United States and Europe, it is John Harrison, who about 10, 11 years ago, speaking with farmers, growers in Japan about matcha green tea, suggested that maybe the American market would be interested. And the Japanese farmers thought, they wouldn't be interested. But John thought, well, maybe they will. And so John Harrison gets credit, really, for introducing matcha green tea to the United States on a large scale. So it's really a nice thing that someone has accomplished. And John, please tell the listening audience, what exactly is matcha green tea?
Well, matcha is green tea, and most people are familiar with that in a tea bag or loose leaf. And the difference between matcha and those two types of green tea is that you actually grind up the leaf. And so you consume the whole leaf, and it's ground up into sort of a 2 to 5 micron particle size, so very, very small. And so your nutritional benefit from doing that is that you're actually consuming the whole leaf, and you're getting all of the nutritional components of that leaf.
Right, that does sound like a very smart idea. And what exactly is the food value or the nutritional components of green tea?
Well, there are a number of different components, I think, that make this product interesting to consumers. And you have the antioxidant component, which is your ORAC value. You've got high catechins, which are tied to your antioxidant levels. You have L-theanine in there. And it's alkalizing as well. So, there are a number of healthy components to green tea.
All right. So we're chatting with John Harrison of the Matcha Green Tea Company, the Matcha Tea Company. But, John, you mentioned the term ORAC. So what exactly is ORAC?
ORAC is the oxygen radical absorption capacity. And it really is a fancy word for how much antioxidant activity is in a particular product. Most people know things like blueberries are high in antioxidants, and prunes are high. They're like 57. Their ORAC value is 57. Blueberries is around 24, and every vegetable and fruit has that value associated with it. And the interesting thing is that matcha is 1,384.
Wow.
So it truly is a superfood.
Right. Right. No, compared to the other important foods, blueberries, for example, it really seems. Is it the richest natural source of ORAC as far as any food is concerned?
Well, I haven't found one that's higher. There may be something out there, but it's right near the top as far as I know.
All right. Right. So besides tasting good, you feel that green tea is actually very valuable for our health.
Well, it is. I think that one of the things that people are also interested in, aside from the high ORAC value of this product, is it has a component in there which is also part of antioxidants, and that's your catechins.
Yes.
And so within that there are 4 groups of catechins, and the EGCG is the most powerful group, and it's the highest in green tea. So you're getting a great source of catechins, and there aren't a lot of food products that have high levels of that in it. I think the other thing that is interesting to consumers, and a difference between coffee and tea, is that they both have caffeine, but the level of caffeine in coffee is 80 to 120 milligrams per gram, and matcha is around 20 to 30 milligrams per gram. So it's significantly lower, but you still get that energy hit. And L-theanine is only in matcha. There's no L-theanine in coffee, and L-theanine is what regulates your brain activity and waves, and your alpha waves are what make you feel good and calm and relaxed, and you're happy, and that's in green tea. It's not available to you in coffee.
Right, right. And L-theanine is also sold separately as a supplement for mood. It makes you feel very kind of calm. And you're saying that the matcha green tea, the matcha brand, but matcha green tea is also a very rich source of the amino acid L-theanine.
Absolutely.
Right. And now, John, how much green tea is good to use? And am I using it with each meal? How am I using it?
Well, my wife and I, we tend to have 3 cups a day, 2 or 3 cups a day, and we take somewhere between half a teaspoon to a teaspoon at a time. And we just enjoy the flavor, and we have it in a variety of different ways. I think that's one of the key things, and it keeps it interesting. If it's very hot outside, we'll often have a cold matcha, and so we would put this with something like vanilla rice milk or almond milk, throw in a few ice cubes, and put in a teaspoon of matcha, hit the blender button, and you have a fantastic cold drink in hot weather.
Right.
And later on, if it's cold or it's cool in the morning, we'll often do a traditional matcha, and we'll use our ceremonial for that, and whisk up a hot cup with just water.
Right. Yeah, so the matcha tea can be used in a number of ways. I may mention to you that I sometimes will make a carrot parsley juice in the morning and throw in some of the matcha green tea powder. And frankly, I think it tastes great, and I seem to feel real good on it. Now, you also mentioned when it comes to matcha green tea, there's more than one type. There's ceremonial and there's summer harvest. What's the difference?
Right. Well, ceremonial is as per the name, your preference is to use that for the traditional way in hot matcha. So you're using a bowl and a whisk and hot water with that, and you mix up your matcha in that way. It has the smoothest flavor, and it also has. It's much higher because it is spring picked and it is shade grown. It's higher in L-theanine and lower in catechins. So you do have that nice calming effect with it, and so that's a product that we use for traditional. The summer harvest we tend to use for different combination drinks, lattes, smoothies, what you suggested, mixing it with ginger and parsley or carrot juice.
Yeah.
So it's slightly more astringent. Unless you're a real connoisseur of matcha, you're not going to notice a lot of difference between these two, but there is a slight difference for sure. And that product, because it is picked later in the summer, is higher in catechins because the shade is removed, there's more sunlight, the days are longer, and it's lower in L-theanine.
So the ceremonial, which seems to be the most expensive of the blends, does have more L-theanine.
Yes.
All right. So that's kind of interesting. And, of course, everyone seems to gravitate towards the ceremonial. They feel it has the smoothest taste, and maybe on some level they recognize that they're getting more L-theanine in their tea. I'm not really sure of that, but it's possible.
I'm not either. I think one of the things I'll mention here, because when you're mentioning that ceremonial seems to be the popular one, one of the things that I want to sort of let the listeners know is that you don't want to be using boiling water when you make a traditional matcha, and probably the easiest way to do that is go ahead and boil your water the normal way, but then have a couple of cups on the table and just pour your water back and forth a couple of times between those cups, and that brings down the temperature of the water to almost an ideal point in terms of using that. If it's too hot and you're using boiling water with matcha, you tend to destroy some of the nutritional benefits, and so that's something to keep in mind when you're mixing up a traditional matcha.
Right. Now, I have read on the DoMatcha website that you use the traditional method of grinding the matcha, which is the leaves of the plant, with granite stones. And is this because it does impart better flavor, and what are other people using? Are they using something with aluminum? What are they using?
Well, the Japanese are the only country that actually uses the grinding stones to produce matcha. And what that does is, these are large stones. The diameter is about 18 inches, and there's a stone on the top and a stone on the bottom. and they're both moving. And this top stone has a hole in it and a funnel placed on it, and the whole leaves are dropped in through that funnel, and they slowly are picked up and ground. The powder is created between the surfaces of the two moving stones and spills out the side. And, because of that, the nature of the way that they grind, that the particle sizes tend to range from 2 to 5 microns. So you have a variation in size. Those are very, very small for listeners that don't understand that size. Mm-hmm. If you put your finger on, dampen your finger and then put that into matcha and rub it onto your skin, it's small enough to go right through the pores of your skin into your system.
Wow.
So we're talking about really grinding this finely. And it takes about 2 hours to do 1 tin. And so it's a very slow process. Other countries have developed techniques to create matcha, and they tend to use very large, it almost looks like a blender. So you throw your leaves in, hit a button, and it basically produces a lot of matcha almost instantly.
Wow.
And the difference there is that product has a particle size that is 7 microns or could be larger. So you're making only a particle size that's the same throughout the whole batch. Now, the downside to that is that, you're not getting that broader nutritional profile, and you're not getting the flavor profile because you've got one size of particle. And so, the Japanese product does tend to be more flavorful, and it is more nutritional as well.
Right, those seem like important distinctions. And I guess, frankly, that Domacha is seen as the premier brand of matcha tea, certainly here in the United States that I know of. Seems to be the one that everyone really enjoys. John, as we end the interview, where can people find the Domacha, in grocery stores in the U.S. and Canada?
Well, our focus has always been, we're not in the mass market. We're in the health food sector, so we have pretty good coverage throughout the United States and Canada, and and most of the Whole Foods carry it, and many other outlets. So you might have to check a little bit, but our coverage is very good. You shouldn't have too much trouble finding it.
Right. John Harrison, the president of the Domacha Matcha Green Tea Company, one of the regular contributors to Here's to Your Health. This is Josh Lane, and we're going to take a short break, and we will be right back after these important messages.
Medical scientists worldwide are encouraging people to eat more fish. Most American diets are low in cold water fish that are abundant in important omega-3 oils. DHA and EPA are the vital components of fish oil that provide healthy benefits. Not only are they crucial for brain and vision development, they're very important for cardiovascular health. Carlson, America's leading Norwegian fish oil brand, specializes in both great-tasting soft gels that are easy to swallow and fish oil liquids that don't taste fishy. That's right, Carlson provides the most extensive line of fish oils to meet all your needs. You can take Carlson fish oils with confidence, for Carlson fish oils are tested for purity, potency, and freshness. Ask for Carlson Norwegian fish oils today. That's right, ask for Carlson Norwegian fish oils today.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health. I'm your host, Josh Lane. And calling in this evening is Amy Dewhurst with the Bhakti Fest Festival happening in Joshua Tree, September 6th to the 11th this year. And the Bhakti Fest is possibly the premier yoga, sacred music, and personal growth festival in the United States. They have curtain musicians. It's drug and alcohol free. It's been going on for a number of years, and I'm thrilled that they actually are doing this here in California and are part of the show. Amy, thanks for calling in this evening. I appreciate it.
Oh, Josh, thank you so much for having us. We love your show, and we love everything that you're doing to keep our California folks healthy and happy.
That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. So for the listening audience, please tell us about Bhakti Fest, and also what does Bhakti Fest mean?
Okay, so Bhakti is the yoga of love. There are four main denominations of yoga. When we think about yoga in the United States, we think of yoga asana. We think of the poses. We think of jumping around and sweating and listening to music and saying namaste. But it actually has a much longer history, all the way to the Vedas in ancient India. And bhakti is what's called the yoga of love. So yoga meaning not just physical postures and poses, but the word yoga itself means to yoke or to use, meaning to join together. So when you're joining together with bhakti, with love, it's a spiritual aspirant that is looking to join together with the divine towards devotion. So you would see this example in any religion. Christians want to merge with Jesus, on like this. So
Yes.
bhakti is the yoga of love.
Alrighty. So at this festival, you also have what you call kirtan music, if I pronounce that correctly, and that is devotional music from India?
That's correct. Yeah. So kirtan is call and response singing. So again, like you would see in church, the old gospel churches that I used to visit in Harlem, where they would say, "Can I get an amen? Amen." And so, the energy and the vibration in those experiences just get higher and higher and bigger and bigger. And so kirtan is call and response chanting and singing using mantra. And most of the mantras that we use today and that we use at the festival are ancient Vedic Hindu mantras. That doesn't exclude Buddhist mantras, and that doesn't exclude, again, saying amen, like we just said. We have a wonderful kirtan leader who's called Kirtan Rabbi, and he actually does a Sabbath service, so call and response of the prayers of the Sabbath on Friday night. So it's not exclusive to Hinduism, and it's not exclusive to mantras of India. It's just mantra in general. And something that's so interesting about mantra, the word itself means man. In Sanskrit means mind, heart, as in the mind and the heart are one thing. They're not separate. And tra means tool. So mantra is a mind-heart tool. And the thing that's so beautiful about mantra is that when you begin to use mantra, you're calming down what we call the monkey mind. And the monkey mind is, oh, I have bills to pay. Oh, I have to pick the kids up at school. Oh, I have to get on the treadmill. Oh, I have to balance my checkbook. You're just bringing it all together in a clear, calm focus. And it's different from an affirmation where, you would get out of bed in the morning and say, I am happy, or I am powerful, or, mantras people use, or affirmations people use. Mantra is actually magic. So within the mantra, there are what we call bejas, seeds. And these seeds relate most of the time to Hindu deities or prayers that it's almost like a direct telephone line to the universe, to the cosmos, to the gods. And so by repeating these mantras over and over again, we say that who you think you are starts to crack away. So your identity, so what you identify yourself with, meaning the I, the me, I'm the doer. And you're able to merge into just, in my experience, and many experiences of people who come to the festival, an opportunity to just merge into oneness with all that there is. We have literally the most premier kirtan artists on the planet. We're so blessed and so happy to have them, including Krishna Das, who was nominated for a Grammy, Jayut Hall, who is not nominated for a Grammy, many other really world-renowned artists and musicians in this genre.
Right, and the music, you have what, several dozen performers or various groups who actually sing this devotional music, and also you have exercise, right? And also you have what is called personal growth. So you have what? You have workshops there as well. This is what's all going on.
So we have all at the same time. We have two kirtan stages. So we have a main stage and a little bit of a smaller stage. So the kirtan is going. We used to have it 24/7. Now we have it maybe like 20 hours a day or so. So the kirtan is going, and so this magic and this energy is bubbling up, bubbling up, bubbling up. Then we have, this year, we're actually going to have 4 yoga halls. Normally we have 3. And so in the yoga halls, it's, again, the premier yoga teachers from around the world. This year we have Sean Korn, Saul David Ray, Govindasan Radha, We always have the venerable Mark Whitwell, Brian Test from Santa Monica. So we really curate the thought leaders in yoga and spirituality. And so that's really fun for people. We have all different kinds of yoga. So we have Kundalini, we have Vinyasa Flow, we have Yin. Basically, any kind of yoga you would be interested in, we have for you to sample. And something that I love about the festival, well, there are many things, but is that if you, I always invite friends who don't do yoga to the festival, who aren't into all this like spiritual chanting stuff, because they can really sample everything on the menu. It's like going to a buffet.
Mm-hmm.
If you were going to try to go to all of these different kirtan concerts with all of these different leaders, if you were going to try to go to all these different yoga studios, you'd have to go all around the world to get what you're getting at the festival. So it's a real opportunity for beginners through advanced yoga practitioners to learn something new and practice with people they've always looked up to. A number of years ago when the festival first started, one of our dear friends, Sarah Ivanhoe, was a premier member of the festival, a highlight of the yoga classes. And she was one of the people who was one of the first VHS video stars of yoga back in the 90s. And so many times we have people driving from all over the country who have watched her VHS tapes and then her DVD tapes and now her MP3s and her YouTube videos. So people who are just so excited to meet their really idols and their mentors. So that's on the yoga front. Now, as far as the personal growth and the workshops go, we have 2 workshop halls as of right now. Looks like we might need a third. We have so many amazing workshops. And they are in personal growth. So they're in deep, we would call breathing. So we have somebody who's really making a splash in the Southern California scene now. His name is Michael Brian Baker, and he does amazing breath work. And people have truly life-altering experiences in the breath work. We have somebody by the name of Zoe Kors who leads women and feminine divine workshops. We have Dawn Cartwright who teaches Tantra. And Tantra meaning light and dark, male and female. It's really beautiful. We have Ayurvedic practitioner Maz Vidal, who is coming, and Maz just has an amazing fan following, and he really creates a container for people to change their lives. We have, first time ever, one of the most just renowned and celebrated Sanskrit scholars, Ira Shepton, and he comes from Woodstock, New York, and spends a lot of his time in India, so we're looking forward to having him. In addition to the workshops in the workshop halls, we also have a women's red tent, which is just women's studies and women's practices, and a men's lodge, which is just men's programming. And so that's really interesting because if we look at any culture throughout time, there were times when men and women were separated to just be themselves in their feminine and in their masculine. And in this modern day society, we're getting that a little mucked up, right? So doing that at the festival is a real experience for people to kind of shed their skin and drop in to that part of themselves. And so I am so lucky. I've been a part of the festival since the beginning, which is 9 years.
Wow.
And I just see it growing year after year, more and more people coming. And truly, I can say in all humility, people's lives are changed. They come there for the festival for their 2 days or their 3 days or their 4 days, and they walk in one person and they just walk out a completely different person. And I've long joked that I want to get an Aura camera or like a before and after, because you come in with your worldliness and your everyday thoughts and feelings and problems and ideas, and you walk out just the most radiant version of yourself that you can be. Now, of course, that requires tune-up. You don't go to the gym once and lose weight, but it's a great first start. So it's people then, they tend to find a yoga studio that they love, or find a yoga teacher that they love, or find a kirtan musician that just awakens their soul and changes their lives. And so that's really the value of the festival, in itself. It's just, you will not leave the same person you came in.
Well, that sounds very good. Amy, as we are ending the interview, we're speaking with Amy Dewhurst, one of the producers of the Bhakti Fest Festival happening in Joshua Tree, September 6th to the 11th, this year, 2017. And it is really the premier yoga, sacred music, and personal growth kirtan event in the United States. I'm always happy to mention that it is drug and alcohol free, which I think is a very strong thing to do and a very positive thing to do. Amy, how can we find out about getting tickets to Bhakti Fest?
Thanks so much for asking. So you can just go to bhaktifest.com, and you can also go to the Bhakti Fest Facebook page.
Okay, and that's spelled B-H-A-K-T-I, Bhakti, B-H-A-K-T-I, the Bhakti Fest, again, happening in Joshua Tree, September 6th to the 11th. Really a very important event. I think you'll find it very worthwhile. And this is Josh Lane. You're listening to Here's to Your Health. We've been chatting with Amy Dewhurst, one of the producers of the Bhakti Fest, and we're going to take a short break, and we will be right back after these important messages.
Medical scientists worldwide are encouraging people to eat more fish. And most American diets are low in important omega-3 oils. Omega-3 oils are the vital components of fish that provide numerous health benefits. Carlson Elite Omega-3 Gems supply concentrated amounts of these omega-3 oils that are needed to support vision, brain function, and a healthy heart. Each great-tasting Carlson Elite Omega-3 Gem Soft Gel contains 1,250 milligrams of fish oil from deep cold water fish. That supplies a full 800 milligrams of omega-3s, all in only one easy-to-swallow soft gel. You can take Carlson fish oils with confidence, for they are tested for purity, potency, and freshness by an independent FDA-registered laboratory. Ask for Carlson Elite Omega-3 Gems at your favorite natural food retailer today.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health. I'm your host, Josh Lane. And calling in this evening from Austin is Scott Jensen, who's the president and CEO of Rhythm Superfoods. They have great kale chips. They have beet chips. They have all sorts of chips. These chips are very popular now, and it's a new, healthy snack. And Scott started out, I think, years ago in a juice bar in Austin. Scott, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Josh. Appreciate it as well.
So Rhythm Superfoods, you see them everywhere now. They're very popular. People like to make little kale jokes, about kale. So when did you start out with these snacks?
Well, there was a gentleman named Keith Warr who owned a juice bar here in town. He and a partner owned a juice bar called Daily Juice. And they were doing fresh organic juices and smoothies like you see across the country, very healthy. They had a couple of small dehydrators in the back of one of their locations. And they started challenging themselves to come up with some food items to sell some snacks and other type of foods. Raw, though, dehydrated raw products. So the most popular out of the things that they were kind of tinkering with was the kale chip, and they were taking fresh kale and mixing it with what is essentially a salad dressing of sorts made of sunflower seeds, cashew seeds, ground up, other like lemon juice and vinegar and spices. And couldn't keep those kind of on the shelf, if you will. So that was the birth of it right here in Austin.
And how long ago was that?
That was 7 years ago. Wow, time flies.
So time does fly. So now that you've been involved with this for a while, it really does seem that people have made a huge shift in what they think about food over the past 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, things seem way better now.
There's a lot of, like, I call them silos, but there's the advent of online media and social media gives a lot of different people a voice where they would have had to pay millions of dollars to have that same audience, 10 or 20 years ago. Right. So you have a real wellspring of people from California to New York that have their ideas of what should be part of your healthy diet. And so you have all these individual people that are bringing, development and ideation to what we should be eating. So you see a big shift in not only consumer behavior, but entrepreneurs that are adapting themselves to this small group of people that instead of it being a billion-dollar brand, our company, we think of ourselves successful at $25 million, if you will.
Right.
So you have a lot of entrepreneurs that are taking up the stake of saying, I'm going to make this because I think this is healthier, and I'm also going to try to find a marketplace for it. And luckily for us, we have retailers that are open to that, and that's kind of how we started as a kale chip company originally.
Okay, so we're chatting with Scott Jensen of the Rhythm Superfoods Kale Chips. Now, people kind of, know what kale is, but you also use the herb turmeric, which has become pretty popular. So you do some stuff with beets, and all you're doing really is kind of, in other words, the food is very clean. It doesn't have preservatives or chemicals. It's just dehydrated.
Yes. So, and we're open to other ways of processing, but when we first came out, we saw the dehydration as, first of all, it's one way to reduce moisture inside a product. So you're taking a fresh piece of kale, if you will, and you're mixing it with a puree of vegetables and juices and creating this wet, like salad bowl of kale, if you will. You spread that out onto a dehydrator, and 10 to 14 hours later at low temperatures, all the moisture is removed from it. What that does is, by removing the moisture, it makes it shelf stable. I can put that dry, crunchy kale in a bag, and it will stay good for 8 or 9 or 10 months. It also reduces the water activity to a point where things like mold and other things can't grow in there. So it's a process that makes a farmed vegetable or fruit capable of going into our supply chain into supermarkets, and that's super important. It's not new. Dehydration is thousands of years. That's what all of our ancestors did to preserve food. But coming up with novel flavors and ways of taking something as healthy as a leaf of kale, mixing it with something to make it taste good, I guess that's where our novelty comes in.
Right. Well, that all sounds like, if people are looking for nice snack food, and certainly they want to eat, when I was a young kid, there was a product called Screaming Yellow Zonkers. I mean, there were so many products. They had very cute names, but they were, and even today are so heavily processed. I think there's a move among some people, and a growing percentage of people, who want a nice snack food, and these kale chips seem to taste real good. They actually taste good, and they seem light, and they have nothing junky in them. So they really have kind of surprisingly hit the marketplace. I mean, was it really 3 or 4 years ago when it kind of hit a certain critical mass, when they really started to move forward?
Yeah, people climb on to certain trends in small, medium, and big ways. And when kale was finally understood as something that was extremely healthy, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, we couldn't keep up with the production. We couldn't even keep up with buying the dehydrators fast enough in order to produce enough.
Wow.
And so, kale it used to be like what the butcher divided one cut of meat from the other, and that's about it, because it stayed crispy and green for, a couple of weeks. But once people figured out the fiber and the protein and the vitamins inside of it, it was like, wow, what else can we do with kale? And it almost, became kind of a supernova at one point. People, all they could do was read about kale, and that brings on its own kind of weird negativity from some bloggers and writers and editors that, once something has hit its peak, they want to take it down and find out what the next great vegetable is going to be. So in the meantime, on the coast where people have been eating kale chips for 6 or 7 years, we found that there's still plenty of people that are still wanting to buy it on the coast, but there's people in the Midwest that haven't even had their first bag of kale chips. So what we do is we look for a vegetable and or fruit, but a vegetable that has positive nutritional density and doesn't have just kind of the negatives of a vacant carbohydrate, like a white potato chip, if you will, or a corn tortilla chip. There's really no beneficial nutrition in those type of corn or potato-based snacks, except for the caloric intake that keeps your body fueled. There's no vitamins, there's very little fiber, there's very little protein. So we identify those vegetables that have a much higher level of nutritional density, and we try to lightly process it and make it shelf stable, and that's key. I mean, through our distribution cycle and getting it into a supermarket, you've got to have several months of supply chain capability in order to make a business out of it.
Right. And so may I ask this a couple of personal questions? How large is the staff that you have, and are you producing in Austin? Do you use stainless steel trays to, dehydrate? I mean, can you tell us a little bit about the process?
Yeah, so when we first started, we were here in Austin. we've taken quite a journey, and it has a lot more to do with the capability of being able to get, truckloads of our fresh produce in a consistent manner every day of the week. So we're processing 6 days a week.
Wow.
And that wasn't really possible in Texas. We were here in Austin early on. We outgrew our space, and we knew we needed to get to a bigger space. So we found a partner up in the Dallas area, and that was the next jump into a much bigger facility with room for a much larger set of dehydrators. From there, we were there for a couple of years, and we outgrew that space. Found another partner in Colorado with a brand new, huge facility. So we went into that one facility, 4.5 years ago. And within 2 years, outgrew that, and that partner wasn't going to be growing in size physically, and we had our own challenges with year-round, every single day, being able to get fresh kale into our plant. So it was a big conundrum for us as a business, because if you've got 25, 30 people showing up to produce kale chips, and for some reason, a cold winter day or a week and a half of rain keeps you from going into your farmer's fields and getting kale, that's a problem. Like, there's a lot of products that are made with on-the-shelf, in-the-warehouse ingredients, like 50-pound bags of chia seeds that were harvested a year ago.
Right.
For us, we're in the produce business, and we need daily deliveries. So we found our best supply chain was coming from south of the border, in Mexico, which is where about 50% of the produce that we consume in the United States is from, and started partnering with growers down there. They became our most consistent supply chain, the ones that no matter what was happening with weather, were able to supply us truckloads whenever we needed it. So eventually, we decided to move our processing plant right next to the Bajío region area in Mexico, where all of this great produce is produced from. So when you think about Green Giant, frozen vegetables and Bird's Eye frozen vegetables and the bags of salad that you buy, mixed salad and the broccoli and the tomatoes that you get in a supermarket, or the lettuce in a Taco Bell taco, these are, because of the nature of the weather down there, almost half of it is coming from south of the border. So we're taking advantage of that great growing region and the proximity of keeping the fresh produce really fresh when it comes into our plant. We built a brand new plant down there last year.
Wow. Well, I tell you, Scott, this is kind of interesting, because it's really kind of like big business, all these moves and all this growth and personnel. Can I ask, how large is the facility in Mexico now?
Yeah, so it's about 50,000 square feet.
Okay. It's big.
And brand new, beautiful. Christened it in September of last year and went through all of our certifications, audits for various retailers and food safety, what's called Global Food Safety Initiative. So that's a process in itself, starting from dirt on the ground and putting concrete walls up and setting the entire facility with millions of dollars of equipment, which is what we've done. So all of our dehydrators, we've got 5 massive dehydrators bigger than 18-wheelers. They're all stainless steel. We have stainless steel trays. All of our bagging equipment is stainless steel. So pretty interesting place. You'd have a real good time checking out how we make it from start to finish.
Well, Scott Jensen, the president of Rhythm Superfoods with their fantastic kale chips, I very much appreciate Scott calling in this evening. And the Rhythm Superfoods are found in most grocery stores around the United States, and they really are very clean. They taste real good. And Scott Jensen started out a juice bar in Austin, and his Rhythm Superfoods use turmeric, kale, beets, they use mango. It's been a great pleasure having Scott on the show, and this is Josh Lane, and we're going to take a short break. And we will be right back after these important messages.
Have you had your Carlson Norwegian fish oil today? Decades ago, scientists discovered why Greenland Eskimos maintain healthy hearts despite their high-fat diets. The high level of omega-3 oils in their seafood diet protected their hearts. Carlson Norwegian fish oil provides those important omega-3 oils. The same omega-3s from cold water fish support maximum brain power, immune strength, joint comfort, and our vision too. Carlson, the very finest fish oil, is a valuable source of the important omega-3s EPA and DHA. Each teaspoon provides a full 1,600 milligrams of omega-3s. And its purity is guaranteed. Try it on salads and popcorn. It tastes like lemon, not fishy. As for Carlson, the very finest fish oil at finer health food stores today.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health. I'm your host, Josh Lane. And calling in this evening is Carrie Patterson, an herbalist with Wish Garden Herbal Remedies. Wish Garden comes out of Colorado. They've been around for a long time, and they're well-liked. Carrie, thanks for calling in this evening. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. This is a great honor to be able to join you.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. Now, Wish Garden has been around for, have you been around about 20 years now?
No, actually, we've been around since 1979.
Oh, wow. I did not realize that.
Yeah, we are one of the original herbal renaissance companies. Our background, we originally started in the midwifery pregnancy movement, this idea of midwives resurging themselves and not having access to pharmaceuticals for birth processes is that whole hippie movement, right? Babies being born in the back of the vans.
Right.
And then kind of grew from that. It was, okay, I'm not pregnant anymore, or what about my husband? And so we got really, really good with this condition-specific concept of herbs. I have a symptom, something's happening right now, and I need to take care of it. So that's kind of our forte, but we've been doing it for a long time.
Because I do remember when Ina Mae Gaskin of The Farm in Tennessee was possibly the premier spokesperson for the midwifery movement in the United States, and she certainly was a powerful person.
Yeah, she still is. I think I'm also a trained midwife as well, as is Catherine Hunziker, so we're women-owned, family-run business. But, yeah, we consider Ina kind of the midwife of all midwives, and I've had the opportunity to hang out with her, and it's really cool to hear her stories about using Wish Garden. Kind of, for me, being a young midwife, it's very inspiring to see those who have come before us and kind of pioneered and championed the use of herbs again, stuff that's growing in our backyard.
Yes, and it's nice to see that really since the 70s when I've been around, that the whole movement of wellness, and in birth as well, has really, really surged forward. It's not like it was years ago when people were terribly dismissive. Now that you still have to fight for your rights to be a midwife in the United States, but even so, things do seem much better.
Yes. Yeah, it gets easier every, year, I think, as we learning, thankfully, Western medical establishment has started to realize, maybe some of these traditional things, we always talk about like herbal medicine in general, like these folk traditions, there might be something to them, right?
Right. By the way, speaking of the idea of home birth, which certainly seems like a valid concept, are there any particular formulations that Ina Mae Gaskin used and that you're using now that you really want to mention to the listeners?
Well, she used a lot of our specific practitioner-only formulations, but we do have in the stores a whole line of pregnancy remedies that are specific to situations and conditions that you might experience while you're, pregnant. So we have a stress relief formula, we have an immune boost, we have a Mo Better Belly for pregnancy for that heartburn. And most of those, just like in our adult formulations, you're going to see a lot of 5-minute symptom relievers. And it's herbs that we all recognize and know. That's, I think, one of my favorite things about Wish Garden is our focus is American ethno-botanical medicine. So there's all these culinary herbs in our formulations across the board, adult line, kids line, women's line, herbs that people cook with and recognize. And then I always joke about, like, there's all these other herbs nobody's ever heard of before, and that's because it literally is the weed that's growing, like, in the crack of the street in front of your house.
Right.
So really trying to revive our medicine and American herbalism is one of the kind of premises of Catherine and her, like, activism about herbal medicine in general, and I really appreciate that.
Yes, that's a very nice thing if you can implement that. We're chatting with Carrie Patterson who is an herbalist with Wish Garden Herbal Remedies, and they've been around since the 70s, which I just found out. I thought it was only 20 or so years, but actually closer to 40 years. It's kind of a long time, quite frankly. Now, you mentioned the little 5-minute remedies, so you're saying that sometimes people can use some of the Wish Garden herbal formulas, and let's say they have a little gastric distress, they can feel better very quickly, you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our goals is to kind of be somebody's herbal first aid kit. We have these kind of what we refer to as game changer strategies, and how you would take the formulation in order to have the result you're looking for. And one of them is our fastest effect strategy, where you start with what it says on the bottle, and you should have full symptom relief in 5 minutes. We forget how fast herbs can work. A lot of it has to do with how you are dosing, appropriately making sure you're getting enough of the formulation in your body. But one of my favorites for that is our Mo Better Belly. It's a very simple formulation: catnip, peppermint, fennel, ginger. 4 food herbs that taste pretty darn good, actually. But it's something that somebody who has heartburn or acid reflux, even, I always talk about any complaint, the whole digestive tract, even constipation, diarrhea, food allergies, nausea, motion sickness, you're going to have that relief in about 5 minutes, which is so cool. I always think about Wish Garden kind of being like a gateway drug to the whole natural medicine thing.
Sure.
Because it opens up this this stuff actually does work.
Right. Yeah, I guess people might be a little surprised that it works so well. We're chatting with Carrie Patterson from Wish Garden Herbal Remedies. So sometimes people can have a little gastric distress, men or women, I guess, and they take, these ginger combinations, fennel, peppermint you mentioned, and they feel better in 5 minutes. So I guess they're kind of impressed if they kind of thought, oh, this is just silly stuff. It doesn't work, but actually it does work.
Yes, yeah. And like all things, I think natural, especially when it comes to herbs, you're going to see that immediate relief. But what we don't give the credit to the herbs is, they're giving us this symptom-soothing thing, but they're also working on a such deeper level to really change and fix things, really help support our body to proactively be aware of how it needs to heal itself.
Right. And, of course, these are also completely non-toxic and actually rather inexpensive, correct?
Absolutely, yes. Especially when we're using culinary herbs and things like that. Our goal is to make it open and accessible to everybody. And all of our ingredients, we can go back to talking about how we originated as a pregnancy company. As far as the quality of your herbs that Wish Garden is using, you can't mess around with somebody who's pregnant. So it has to be top of the line. So everything's organic, wild crafted, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, fully sustainable, et cetera, one of our tenants.
Well, that seems important. So while we're chatting about it, some of these women's remedies, what about stuff that you have from Wish Garden for mood?
Yeah, so for mood, we have, I like to talk about how, I think most people are very aware of our kick-ass immune and our different respiratory immune formulations. And there's a reason we have so many of them, is because everybody gets sick differently. Well, we also have a lot of stress and mood remedies because everybody gets stressed out differently. So kind of depending upon what situation you might be. So like our serious relaxers, very specific to physical, muscle-related stress. Our deep stress is very specific for that kind of cognitive overthinking. I talk about the deep stress being like that type A personality. Or our emotional ally, which is more of that like kind of heart, gut stress, that anxiety, fragility, storms of life. So depending upon where we are in our stress situation, we've got a remedy for that. But my favorite as of late has been our Liquid Bliss. And our Liquid Bliss is kind of that, like, we refer to it as like pure enchantment, peace and tranquility. It's a complete like 5-minute attitude adjustment. And what this formulation is doing is it's really enhancing the natural oxytocic response in the body. And oxytocin is our happy love bonding hormone. So getting more of that, this formulation I think is very appropriately named. It's all of our stress remedies are 5-minute symptom relievers, but you're going to, in 5 minutes, feel totally blissed out. Like, that's the point, is to have everything change for you in 5 minutes. And
well, I think, Carrie, we're chatting with Carrie Patterson from Wish Garden Herbal. If you can give someone who has never tried your formulations before or has no idea about the subject a product for mood or for gastric distress, it makes them feel better in 5 minutes, I think you kind of win them over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, like when I mentioned gateway drug, I hope that people try Wish Garden, and then it opens up their world to, so fish oil, probiotics,
right.
These things are probably really important for me to incorporate in my life. When we talk about tinctures in general, the reason I'm always going to push somebody to take a liquid herbal extract is, speaking of the Mo Better Belly, how many people's digestive systems just don't work anymore. So a tincture's already, pre-digested, I would say baby bird style.
Oh, yeah, right.
Your body is going to get all of those medicinal benefits in 5 minutes, and it's not going to have to break it down in a digestive system that doesn't function appropriately.
Right, so you're very happy with liquid tinctures. You feel they're really an effective way to go.
I do, absolutely, because I know that for the most part, if we look at just the physical structure of the body, those phytopharmaceutical constituents in the plants probably don't even make it to the stomach. The lipid layer soaks it up, and we get all of those benefits in the bloodstream in that 5-minute span.
Wow.
So we can get the aspects of the plant that we're looking for really fast. Super customizable, right, depending upon who you are. And if you look just historically, we evolved with these plants. So our body knows how to interact with them and utilize them appropriately.
Well, that sounds great. We have been speaking with Carrie Patterson, the herbalist for Wish Garden Herbal Remedies, a great company out of Colorado, been around since the late 1970s. This is Josh Lane. You're listening to Here's to Your Health. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Medical scientists worldwide are encouraging people to eat more fish. Most American diets are low in cold water fish that are abundant in important omega-3 oils. DHA and EPA are the vital components of fish oil that provide healthy benefits. Not only are they crucial for brain and vision development, they're very important for cardiovascular health. Carlson, America's leading Norwegian fish oil brand, specializes in both great-tasting soft gels that are easy to swallow and fish oil liquids that don't taste fishy. That's right, Carlson provides the most extensive line of fish oils to meet all your needs. You can take Carlson fish oils with confidence, for Carlson fish oils are tested for purity, potency, and freshness. Ask for Carlson Norwegian fish oils today. That's right, ask for Carlson Norwegian fish oils today.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health with Joshua Lane. If you have any questions about the guests or topics discussed tonight, please give us a call at 818-707-0005. That number is 818-707-0005. This is Josh Lane. On behalf of the cast and crew, I would like to wish you a healthy and safe good evening.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
NBC News Radio. I'm Tom Roberts. An 11-year-old is the third Boy Scout to die from a boating accident in East Texas. State officials say Thomas Larry died today after a boat crashed into a power line on Lake of the Pines Saturday. 16-year-old and 18-year-old Eagle Scouts also on the boat were electrocuted. Larry was found unresponsive when Good Samaritans pulled him onto their boat. He died at the hospital. State media outlets in North Korea are referring to the new UN sanctions as a frontal attack and a violation of sovereignty. President Trump approves of the action, but some observers, like Admiral James Stavridis, say we're running out of options when it comes to North Korea.
That's bad because we're going to lose a lot of people in the course of this, and it's hard to predict how it ends up.
North Korea's finances and exports will get hit by the sanctions as a response to continued weapons tests. The communist nation is singling out the U.S. as the main force behind the sanctions, saying there is no bigger mistake than the United States believing that its land is safe across the ocean. President Trump has a familiar Twitter target. Joe Gomez reports.
President Trump attacked Connecticut Democrat Richard Blumenthal in a series of tweets this morning, again criticizing Senator Blumenthal for lying about his service during the Vietnam War. Trump ripped Blumenthal as a, quote, phony Vietnam con artist.
Inmates are no longer in control of a maximum security prison in central Arkansas. 6 inmates are believed to have taken the keys from guards during a recreation call at the facility in Tucker. 3 guards were taken hostage as the prisoners took control. Singer Sinead O'Connor says she's living in a New Jersey motel and battling severe depression.
I'm fighting like all the millions and millions that I know I'm one of to stay alive every day.
In a heartbreaking video posted on Facebook, O'Connor says she's dealing with mental illness and has often considered suicide. The MTV Video Music Awards August 27th will feature Miley Cyrus, Lorde, and Fifth Harmony. Shawn Mendes, The Weeknd, and 30 Seconds to Mars will also sing at the ceremony hosted by Katy Perry. That's the latest. I'm Tom Roberts.
From the KCAA Weather Center, this is Rod Arlen. Mostly clear skies tonight, 64 degrees for the low. Tuesday, a hot 97 degrees with mostly sunny skies. Wednesday, we're up to 95 again, mostly sunny. And Thursday, stay in the course with 97 degrees, mostly sunny skies, low down to 65. That's your weather forecast for this hour from KCAA, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM. 3-in-1, the trifecta of talk in Southern California.
Go on an adventure. Embark on a once-in-a-lifetime adventure at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Experience Africa, the tram, Cheetah Run, Lemur Walk, and the award-winning Tiger Trail, always included with admission. And make your day more wild with safari experiences like Flightline, Caravan, behind-the-scenes tours, and Roar and Snore sleepovers. Safaris depart daily at San Diego Zoo SafariPark.org, where every day is a safari.
KCAA Radio is proud to announce that the Tri-City Center in Redlands is our new home. We're fortunate to be located among some of the best businesses in the region. Among our neighbors are Ray Chiropractic, Brace Connection Orthodontist, Pain Solutions Medical Massage, Rent-A-Center, MVP Staffing Agency, Jenny Craig, Salon Centric, and many more. The Tri-City Shopping Center is located just off the I-10 between Alabama and the Tennessee exits in Redlands. The Tri-City Center is the mall with a heart.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
The other stations claim to be local.
Yeah, right.
KCAA Radio, the only true local radio station on your radio dial.
Wild
Wild Ride Radio, your source for everything motorcycle. Tips, tricks, events, rides of the week, rallies, and more. Now here's your host, Dallas Hageman. Hey riders, welcome to the show. So glad to have you along. I am pumped and ready to talk motorcycles, if not more than ever. Right now, we're in Sturgis, South Dakota for the rally this week, and it's a lot of fun. It typically is. I mean, sometimes I get overwhelmed by the end of the week, but right now I'm just having a blast. Was able to go over to Ciro's tent and see what they've got, and I don't know if you were able to check out all their stuff they have online. They're offering online right now, but if you're going to Sturgis, I really want to encourage you to go to their booth. They've got a lot of their products right there. Top quality gear. You can see it in person and even get it installed. And in fact, Arrow, who's going to be on the show a little bit later, he's installing a lot of parts as well. So you can talk to the owner of Ciro 3D. But go to ciro3d.com to check out those parts, and you'll be blown away, I promise you. But we've got a jam-packed show today. As always, I've got a lot of stuff I want to touch on. There is a article that popped up that I just couldn't believe. In fact, I had to Snopes it and search around online, various places online, to see if it was actually real or not. But yes, it is in fact real. But I guess there are millions of people who have motorcycle licenses but don't own a motorcycle. So they don't ride. They have a license, but they don't ride. And that just, it makes my head spin to think that there are people walking around that have licenses but no motorcycle. So if you listen to this show and you still don't have a bike, we're going to fix that today. But I'm going to go over that article and talk about why they haven't got on bikes and maybe what needs to be done to get them on motorcycles. Also, the motorcycle industry in the UK, they're welcoming a new mandate by the United Kingdom that is going to ban essentially all motorcycles and motorized vehicles by the year 2040. It's this ridiculous backwards ban in the name of global warming and cleaning up the atmosphere. It is just, it's one of those things you don't think you're ever going to have to see, and then it slides across your desk and you think, what? How can people be so stupid? I mean, the UK is imploding right now with immigration going crazy, and crimes are skyrocketing there. You should see the rape statistics for women. I think I saw last time it was like 1 in 4 women are now being raped by refugees coming into that country. So they have other problems instead of the internal combustion engine destroying their way of life. But lo and behold, the powers that be, the idiots in control, are pushing to get rid of internal combustion engines. And the Motorcycle Council is all for it. And if that sounds counterintuitive, it is. But I'm going to talk about why they're for it and how we can maybe possibly walk this kind of crap back. Because this is just, it's wrong and it's scary on so many different levels. And yes, I know it's in the UK, but don't you think for a second that it couldn't come over to the United States. And it probably will. Honestly, it probably will within time. But I don't want to get too deep into that. I did want to talk about, kicking off the show this week, I wanted to talk about something that I did see last month, but I intentionally didn't bring it up because I wanted you to go for a ride. July is the most dangerous month for motorcycle crashes. And I got this story from Berger and Green. They're a law office that posts updates sometimes on motorcycle stats, but they pulled it from Progressive Insurance. And from the article, it says, according to a report released by Progressive Insurance, the month of July has had the most motorcycle accident claims in previous years, Saturdays being the most dangerous day of the week. The average number of claims for the month are 79% higher than the average for the rest of the year. 79% higher in July than the average for the entire other 11 months. I mean, that's huge. That's nearly 100% higher. So July, there's a lot of speculation, and there's really no official reason as to why July is more dangerous than any other month.
Some are speculating that it's an increase in traffic on the roadways during the month and for the 4th of July holiday. And obviously it's a lot nicer that time of year as well. So more motorcyclists than ever get out on the roads. And if they haven't been out all year, they're going to run into a problem, maybe aren't up to speed on how to react to situations. That could be as well. And motorists aren't used to that many motorcyclists being out on the road. So again, there's a lot of speculation. There's no really official word on why July is the most dangerous, but it is. And Progressive Insurance says that the 4th of July holiday weekend and week after typically have the highest number of motorcycle claims and crashes. So if you're listening to this, obviously you survived July. Congratulations. But, you know, anytime is dangerous to ride. Motorcyclists know this, right? I mean, every time you get on your bike, there's a chance of you going down or getting into an accident. I mean, we accept that. And if you aren't aware of that, you need to wrap your head around that possibility that motorcycles are very dangerous, but they're the only way most of us know how to live and how to have fun and enjoy life. So we accept that risk. We accept that danger. We take it on because we're adults. We don't need directions written on shampoo bottles. We were not protected that way. In fact, we've talked about this the past 2 or 3 shows, and I'm not going to dredge it back up necessarily, but that's one thing that's wrong with the millennial generation, and one reason that a lot of people think they're not getting on bikes is because they've been coddled and are terrified of anything that has any kind of risk, because they grew up in an era where you got participation awards for just being there, showing up, and nobody got an award at a sports game. So it's patently absurd. I mean, and like I said, instructions written on shampoo bottles. I mean, when you grow up in that kind of culture where you're protected from everything, you're going to be terrified of everything as well that could possibly kill you. And I got news for people who are always worried about something killing them. We're all going to die. The death rate on humans is 100%. So whether it's a motorcycle or eating too much biscuits and gravy or whatever. I mean, you could be running in the best shape of your life and get smacked by a Mack truck. You're not guaranteed, and I don't want this to be a downer or a negative opening to the show. It's just a reality. Everybody dies. So are you going to enjoy your life and live it to the fullest, or are you going to lock yourself in your house and be terrified of it and someday slip in the shower and kill yourself? Just think about that a little bit. Everybody dies. They do. In fact, I'm going way off topic right now, but I got to bring this up. I heard a commercial from the USDA. It was a government-funded and run commercial because nobody in their right mind would really run this commercial and have to pay for it. The USDA ran this ad where it said, if you char grill your steaks and burgers, you know that char grill taste, you use charcoal, it's been known that char grill has been known to cause cancer and kill you. And I thought, you know what? If that kills me, then let it kill me. I will die happy. I'm not eating lettuce and salad like a rabbit and live to be 95 peeing on myself in some nursing home. I'd rather go out a little bit earlier than that. So, I mean, eventually you just got to accept the fact that life is dangerous. Living is dangerous. And those that accept it live a lot better life, in my opinion, than those that can't wrap their head around it. But anyway, July is the most dangerous month for motorcycle crashes. You made it. We're on into August now, so congratulations for living yet another day and actually enjoying life. But coming up in the next segment, I want to talk to Arrow from Zero3D.com. He's the owner of Zero3D, and I wanted to get him on the show and talk a little bit of not only about the history and where he came from, but also what he offers, because we get a lot of offers on this show to talk about different products, so on and so forth, and I barely take any of those on. When I saw Zero3D and not only their backstory, but what they have to offer, it's incredible. Their parts are so solid, so high quality that it'll blow your mind. It really will. I put a bunch of parts from them on my bike already. So we're going to bring Arrow on in the next segment, and then after that, we'll talk about the people without motorcycles who own licenses, and then end up the show with the motorcycle industry being happy that internal combustion engines are going away. So all that's on this Wild Ride Radio.
For more motorcycle talk, visit wildrideradio.com.
Hey riders, Dallas from Wild Ride Radio here. You've heard me talk about Zero 3D's phenomenal accessories and how they offer one-of-a-kind, high-quality products for Harley-Davidsons. But did you know that Zero 3D doesn't just manufacture products for riders, they actually are riders? In fact, the founder of Zero 3D constantly rides and is often found installing Zero's products on motorcycles during rallies because he loves what he does. Check out a company that cares about their products and the riders who use them. Visit Zero3D.com. That's Zero3D.com.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to, so I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about Angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking Angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
Exploring science in the sea. What happens in Vegas may stay in Vegas, but what happens in the oceans almost never stays put. Ocean currents transport materials across vast distances. So if something unpleasant happens in one spot in the oceans, its effects may be felt thousands of miles away. An example is the failure of nuclear reactors in Japan in 2011. A massive tsunami damaged reactors in Fukushima, releasing large amounts of radioactive material into the air and into the Pacific Ocean. The debris in the ocean quickly spread out. In fact, some of it traveled all the way to the west coast of North America. Scientists began looking for radioactive material off North America in 2012. They were looking for two forms of cesium, a byproduct of nuclear reactions. One form decays to a non-radioactive element in just a couple of years, so any that showed up in American waters was likely to come from the accident. The other form lasts longer, so it shows up in higher concentrations. The researchers found an uptick in cesium just off the Canadian shore in June of 2013, and by February of 2014, the amount of cesium had jumped to about twice the normal level. The total amount of cesium in North American waters is expected to rise to 5 or 6 times the pre-accident levels in late 2015 and early 2016. Even so, that's far below the levels that are dangerous to people or marine life. So the most harmful effects of the Japanese nuclear accident stayed in Japan. For the University of Texas Marine Science Institute at Port Aransas, I'm Holly Brawley.
You've tuned in to KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind. Like the show? You're going to love our biker gear. Check out the store at wildrideradio.com.
I call it modern outlaw.
You're back on Wild Ride Radio, and we're talking one thing, the most important thing, and that's motorcycles. And with me on the phone is a guy that I really want you to meet. And I met him a couple of months ago, and he's just a cool guy. I wanted to bring him on the show and have him talk about the business that he started and how he's helping riders everywhere get in on better parts for their motorcycles. Because if you've been to any rally or anywhere, you've noticed that some people offer some terrible products and it just Chinese knockoffs, just terrible stuff. I mean, you know, once you buy a part, you can feel it, and it's almost worthless stuff. You regret buying it, but not so with Zero 3D. And I know you've heard me talk about him on the show before, but I wanted to bring on Arrow Rudd, who is the owner and founder of Zero 3D. Arrow, thanks so much for coming on Wild Ride Radio.
Hey, Dallas. Thank you for having me.
Hey, Arrow, I wanted to bring you on for a myriad of reasons, but I wanted to start off asking you to give our listeners an idea of how Zero 3D got started, because I think it is a pretty cool story, and I wanted other people to know about it.
Okay. So, yeah, how it kind of started was my dad's he founded Kuryakin and Drake Specialties, which are two pretty well-established companies in the motorcycle industry. And so since I was about 15, 16, I've been working at Kuryakin. I did a lot of the different jobs at the company, like customer service, tech support, sales, returns. I was down in the design area and even in the warehouse. So I've been in the industry for quite a while now. And when I got a little bit older, I decided I want to start my own company. So that's when I decided to go and start Zero.
So your dad founded Kuryakin and Drag Specialties.
Yep, that's correct.
You had a good background then.
Yeah, I had a great mentor. I learned a lot from my dad.
And you can really tell that you know what you're doing. I mean, some companies start, and it takes them at least 10 to 15 years to figure out what they're doing. And it seems like Zero 3D, for as young of a company as you are, you offer some really, really good products.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, even starting out with Zero, I didn't really know exactly what we wanted to be when we first started. The first thing I did was I bought a Polaris RZR, which is a UTV side-by-side, and I outfitted that with a bunch of Dragonfire accessories because I wanted to see if there was some potential in that market, and I wanted to see if that was something I wanted to go into. So I actually outfitted this RZR completely with all the Dragonfire parts and then brought it up to Sturgis to see if there was some kind of crossover between bikers and guys who like to ride off-road. What I found there wasn't as much correlation as I was expecting, and so we tried to sell some Dragonfire parts for a while, but it didn't really go as well as I expected. So then I decided to kind of change gears and develop some automotive accessories because I've always been into cars pretty heavily. So we did a 4-barrel carb and air cleaner for it. It was kind of a cool design. It's a big scoop, but it was going to be pretty expensive to manufacture. And once it was all done, I kind of realized, where are we actually going to sell this thing? Because otherwise, you got to pay back all the tooling dollars and all that. So that kind of stumped me as well. So from there, that's when actually all the motorcycle accessories started being developed because I'd hired some guys I met at Kuryakin when I was working there for about 3 years. I hired Ken, Chris, and Darren, 3 product designers from Kuryakin. And so since all of our background was based in motorcycles, that's where we started.
I like how you design different parts, too. They're parts that I haven't seen anywhere else. They're completely almost redesign of some products. So I really like those. So just talk a little bit about what you've got to offer, because, I mean, if you start on one end of your website, just be prepared, riders, just be prepared to spend at least a half an hour, 45 minutes looking at all their parts, because they've got a lot of stuff. So let's go through some of the stuff that you offer for Harley-Davidson on your website.
Okay. So, yeah, since we started in 2014, that was right when the Rushmore bikes were being released. And since the Street Glide and the Ultra were the most 2 popular models, we bought 2 of those bikes. And what we did was we 3D scanned them. You cover the whole bike in this white talcum powder, and then a laser scanning company comes in and they scan that whole bike into the computer. And so from there, we have the bike in our computers, and we use SolidWorks, which is a 3D modeling program. So there you can actually build the parts right onto the bike. So that's why they fit so perfectly, and they contoured all the curves of the motorcycle. And so that's kind of where we started, was the 2014 and newer touring motorcycles.
I've always been interested in how companies do that. So you're saying that you take a bike off the showroom floor and bring it into a booth, essentially, and then how do they do that? They bring what did you say, like a laser in there?
Yeah, so first they cover the whole bike in this kind of matte finish white talcum powder. That way the laser won't reflect when it hits the gloss paint and the chrome and all that, and they can get a good reading of it. And then they bring an arm around the whole thing, and they scan it into the computer.
And then your designers, for lack of a better term, they start to play around.
Yeah, exactly. We have to kind of reverse engineer it since Harley doesn't want us. They're not too friendly to the aftermarket companies, so that's why
I bet.
We can't just get the files from them. We have to create our own. Well,
but your parts fit really well, and honestly, I I got to be honest with you. When I saw how affordable they were, I didn't think they were going to be as good a quality as they are, just because if you get cheap, my dad always said, if you buy quality, you're stuck with quality. If you buy junk, you're stuck with junk. So if you get online, you see cheap parts, and you think, oh, those aren't going to fit very well. But you guys have kind of mixed in affordable parts, but also they're really good quality. It's something that you rarely ever see in this industry.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, one of our biggest things is that we want to make everything easy to install, which means it's going to fit really well just right out of the box. You don't have to modify it. And for all the lighting things and electronics, it's all plug and play, which means it'll plug right into your OEM Harley connections, because we actually buy the same connectors that Harley uses, so you don't have to do any soldering or cutting wires, which makes it much easier to install our accessories than some other companies.
I really want to sound off on that too, and back you up on what you're saying, because I did get a bunch of parts in for my bike, and you were kind enough to say, hey, if you need any help, we've got a couple people that'd be more than happy to talk over the phone with you to install those. But you take them out of the box, the instructions are so easy to follow that anybody who knows the difference between a flathead and a Phillips screwdriver can do their own work and put your parts on in an afternoon and be out riding around.
Yeah, exactly. That's our goal there. So you don't need to spend a lot of your own time, and you don't need to pay the dealer a whole bunch of money to put them on for you.
And I'm a big fan of that. I used to go that route, and it can get really expensive to just put, in name any part. I mean, you buy the part at a dealership, it's really expensive, and then you have it put on there, and you go home, and you end up spending a bunch of money and kind of regretting your purchase. But not only do you offer your parts on Ciro3D.com, and again, riders go there, it's CIRO3D.com to get started, but not only do you offer them there, but now you got them in a bunch of Harley dealers across the country, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We're distributed through Drake Specialties and Parts Unlimited. So almost any Harley dealer or any independent shop, if they're set up with Drake Specialties, which I believe about 90% of them are, you can just go in there with our part number and tell the parts guy what you want, and he can order it for you and get it next day.
Super simple. And also, since we're out at Sturgis right now, tell everybody where your booth is located so they can go and see the parts firsthand and maybe even get to meet you in person.
Yeah, so we're set up at Rapid City at the Harley dealer. It's Black Hills Harley Davidson. So if you stop in here, you can look for me. My name's Arrow, and I can help you out with anything you might need for your bike.
Tell them you heard about them on Wild Ride Radio too. They love the show. I mean, I know you do, Arrow. And we love having you as well. I love to partner with people that offer good quality parts. And again, that website is Ciro3D.com. That's CIRO3D.com. Arrow, thanks so much for coming on Wild Ride Radio today. I can't say enough good about you and your company.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I had a great time talking with you today.
Remember, riders, Ciro3D.com. That's CIRO3D.com. You will thank me if you buy some of these parts. You really will. And they even offer headlights. I just installed a brand new set of headlights on my Road Glide, and it's like staring into the sun. Absolutely incredible lights. So Ciro3D.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this on Wild Ride Radio.
A daily dose of what drives you the most. It's the Motorcycle Minute on WildRideRadio.com.
Hey riders, Dallas from Wild Ride Radio here. You've heard me talk about Ciro3D's phenomenal accessories and how they offer one-of-a-kind, high-quality products for Harley-Davidsons. But did you know that Ciro3D doesn't just manufacture products for riders, they actually are riders? In fact, the founder of Ciro3D constantly rides and is often found installing Ciro's products on motorcycles during rallies because he loves what he does. Check out a company that cares about their products and the riders who use them. Visit Ciro3D.com. That's Ciro3D.com.
This is Dick from Carpet Masters. Carpet Masters has been serving the Inland Empire for over 60 years. We are locally owned and operated by the Stevens family. We not only clean carpet and furniture, we clean many loose rugs, including Oriental rugs. Oriental rugs are cleaned in our modern facility where the fringes are cleaned by hand, then hung in our modern facility to dry. We do not use steam cleaning to clean your fine furniture. Furniture is cleaned by hand using the same absorption cleaning used in the White House. Some furniture we bring into our plant to clean properly. We normally use 2 men on each cleaning job using the extraction method. There is nothing that will clean carpet better for our customers. Our job is to clean properly with quality first. Google Carpet Masters San Bernardino and give us a call, or go to carpetmasterssocal.com.
Stardate August 7th. You have to get up pretty early at this time of year to enjoy the beauty of the pre-dawn sky. If you happen to be up, though, it's well worth a look. That's because the eastern sky offers up the same stars that'll decorate the evening sky come winter, some of the brightest and most beautiful stars and constellations of them all. It also offers a bonus, Venus, the brilliant morning star. It's low in the east at first blush of twilight. There's nothing else even close to its brilliance, so you won't have any trouble picking it out. The constellation Orion perches off to its right, with bright orange Betelgeuse even with Venus. Orion's other major features stretch to the right of Betelgeuse. Orion's 3-star belt, which points up and down as it rises, and blue-white Rigel, the hunter's brightest star. The twins of Gemini hunker to the lower left of Venus, with Castor a little above brighter Pollux. Brilliant Capella stands far above the twins, outshining all the other stars in that region of the sky. And Taurus the bull is high above Orion, marked by his bright orange eye, the star Aldebaran, and by the twinkly little Pleiades star cluster at his shoulder. All of these stars rise 4 minutes earlier each day, so by the time we reach the start of winter, they'll be climbing into view not at the end of the night, as they are now, but at its beginning, kicking off some long, cold nights under the stars. Tomorrow, back in action. Information about McDonald Observatory visitor programs is at mcdonaldobservatory.org. And for the McDonald Observatory, I'm Sandy Wood.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at kcaaradio.com. Catch Wild Ride Radio every weekend on this station.
Welcome back to the show, Riders. And this next segment, I just want to encourage you, if you are brand new to riding, and I know we've got a lot of listeners who are brand new, or we even have some listeners who aren't, pay attention to this next segment. It really could change your life. I sincerely think that. If I didn't think that, I wouldn't bring this up. Also, if you know somebody who is considered one of these sleepers that we're going to talk about and has been sitting on the fence, forward them this show afterwards. It's going to load up on wildrideradio.com, and you can find the most recent show. It'll say aired August 5th and 6th, 2017, and with the title, whatever we title this one. Or you can go to iTunes or TuneIn.com or Podbean or Stitcher, whatever. Forward them this show and have them listen to it, because I think this could really help them get out of their comfort zone and quit becoming a sleeper and start to live and enjoy life on a motorcycle. I sincerely think that. I pulled this article from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, written by Rick Barrett. And I had to confirm this because I didn't think it was true. Just because of my own experience, once I got on a motorcycle, you couldn't get me off. I just stuck on it forever. But apparently there are people who have motorcycle licenses, but they refuse to get on a motorcycle for a myriad of reasons. So I'm gonna read this article and we'll talk about it afterwards. But again, this is from Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel by Rick Barrett. Who are the sleepers? Many sleepers were active motorcyclists who had things happen in their life that caused them to quit riding: marriage, kids, financial pressures, a job that demands most of their time, or simply a change in interest, to name just a couple of reasons. Others completed rider training, got their licenses, but never bought a bike. Now, even some aspiring motorcyclists take a rider safety class, which is the path to getting a bike license in Wisconsin, where this is written, and most states, but their confidence is shaken when they go from training sessions to highway swarming with distracted drivers. And really, that could intimidate almost anybody, honestly, because if you took a rider training course and went that way, it was probably in some parking lot with cones, and it was quiet and nice. And I remember the first time I took my course, and I got that little bike up to 15 miles an hour, and I got a huge smile on my face because it felt like I was flying. It just felt like a jet was underneath me, and I was flying, and I loved it. Now 15 miles an hour would drive me crazy. I can't go that slow, but 15 miles an hour back then in a parking lot, it was fast. Well, and then once the class is over and you've got your license, they throw you out on the road and say, okay, good luck. Where I live, I don't know about you, but where I live, people are stupid when they drive. They're getting worse by the day, too, more aggressive. And to go from a nice, quiet parking lot where it's serene and enjoyable to traffic where everybody wants to hit you or get out of their car and punch you in the face, it's a very big transition and a big step for a lot of people. One reason this is coming up, this piece is coming up, is that Harley-Davidson and Indian Motorcycle are both looking for people to buy their motorcycles. Because the motorcycle industry, it's not declining. In fact, it's doing better than it ever has. Now, Harley's whining because they haven't sold nearly what they'd like to in the specific models they'd like to. But if you want to listen to my commentary on that, you're going to have to go to wildrideradio.com and listen to the past shows. I don't want to rehash that. But Polaris, who owns Indian, is also going after those sleepers because the industry, millennials aren't buying brand new bikes. They're buying used bikes, but they're not spending as much money. So the industry is starting to shrink a little bit when you're talking about profits for the big companies. So big companies are searching out anybody they can, and they're going after these sleepers. Now, Harley has a goal of attracting about 2 million new U.S. riders over the next 10 years. And, I mean, that's a huge number considering it put like 25% more riders on the road. If they can do that, that'd be great because there'd be a lot more riders on the road. But suffice to say, Indian and Harley and the big names in the United States are looking for the next money mill, essentially, from people. So that's why they're focusing on these quote-unquote sleepers, the people who have licenses but aren't riding. And essentially, there's what dealers call and the motorcycle industry calls a sweet spot, which is a 6-month window after the time somebody gets their license to the time they decide to buy a bike. Now, people can decide to buy a bike years and years and years later, but there's a sweet spot in there where it's still on the top of their mind. They still remember that jet engine feeling of riding around in a parking lot, and they might want to pull the trigger on a new bike. And Harley and Indian are hoping emphasis on the new, or at least the used bike from their dealerships, which, again, a lot of millennials aren't doing just because they don't want to spend that kind of money on what Harley is offering right now. And that's completely understandable. I am not quite so interested in these sleepers getting on a bike to help out Harley or Indian because I couldn't care less about what their profit margins are. I'm just going to tell you in my experience what I gained from just getting on a stupid motorcycle in the middle of a parking lot to where I am now. I'll give you a little bit of a background. I had never been on a bike, ever. Before I climbed on one in a class, never been on one. Never even honestly interested in a motorcycle, to tell you the truth. And I was in a bad divorce. I was married when I was 18, divorced when I was 20 or 21, and I was miserable. Driving down the road, just miserable in life in general. I hated where I worked, I hated life. I really did. And I was driving over, I remember exactly where it was, driving over an overpass, and a biker, and I was stereotypical biker, and back then I judged him. Is an overweight dude, long gray beard, on this ratty old Harley Davidson, and in my stupid, tiny mind at the moment, I said, well, what does that guy have to live for? And as he went by, he had the biggest smile on his face that I've ever seen anybody have. And I just thought, that dude looks really happy, and it doesn't look like he has anything to live for. And again, I'm a very judgmental and ignorant person. And I thought, you know what? If he could be happy, if that motorcycle's making him that happy, I'm going to try it. So I took the class, I got on a bike, and the rest is history. I can't tell you how many people I have been able to meet just from motorcycles. I literally have thousands of brothers and sisters around the world because I got on 2 wheels and decided to start riding. So, I mean, even this show, if I didn't ride motorcycles, it'd be pretty hard to do this show. I decided to do this show years later to try and help newer riders and also people who've been riding forever, update them on news and events, so on and so forth. But I tell you that story because if you're a sleeper or somebody who has a license but doesn't want to get on the road or is scared about riding or life just got in the way, I want to ask you right now, what are you waiting for? We all have one life. We're given one. Everybody's given one. Now, some are shorter, some are longer than others. But you have one life. What are you waiting for? We're all getting older. You're only getting older. If you're waiting for something to happen, it's not going to. Get on a bike and start riding now, today, right now. Go to the nearest dealership, get on Craigslist, whatever, and get on a bike and start riding. You're going to meet so many people that are going to enrich your life so much. It's going to change your life for the better. You're going to be a happier person, I guarantee it. Stop waiting around and get on a bike. I cannot encourage you enough. I myself, I'm living proof. Bikes, motorcycles can change your life for the better. Way better. It'll blow your mind how much better your life gets. But you have to get on a bike and start riding. So if you're a sleeper, if you're somebody who hasn't ridden in a while, what are you waiting for? Just think about that. What are you waiting for? Change your life. Get on a bike. That's all I'm going to say about that. Coming up in the next segment, we're going to talk about a ban in the UK and why some in the motorcycle industry are really excited about it for whatever stupid reason. But that's coming up on Wild Ride Radio. Quit waiting around. Go get a bike. We'll be back right after.
There are 2 types of people in this world. Those that are bikers and those that wish they were. Show who you are with our biker gear at wildrideradio.com.
Hey riders, Dallas from Wild Ride Radio here. You've heard me talk about Zero 3D's phenomenal accessories and how they offer one-of-a-kind, high-quality products for Harley-Davidsons. But did you know that Zero 3D doesn't just manufacture products for riders, they actually are riders? In fact, the founder of Zero 3D constantly rides and is often found installing Zero's products on motorcycles during rallies because he loves what he does. Check out a company that cares about their products and the riders who use them. Visit Zero3D.com. That's Zero3D.com.
A superior nutritional supplement called Arbor Vitae has taken Australia by storm, and it's now available in the U.S. Arbor Vitae contains a unique combination of maritime pine bark, aloe vera, honey, and an enzyme from papaya seeds. This potent supplement was developed to impact inflammation in the human body. Arbor Vitae helps blood circulation and respiratory function. Its anti-inflammatory properties can also relieve minor muscle and joint pain. To order, log on to ARBORVITAEUS.com or phone 1-800-570-0433 and enter code KCAA at checkout to receive a 10% discount. Arbor Vitae is Mother Nature's helping hand. Order this unique supplement now. Call 1-800-570-0433 and mention that you heard it on KCAA to get a 10% discount.
This is Scientific American's 60-Second Science. I'm Christopher Intagliata. In January 2014, an epic cold wave swept across the southeast, a snowpocalypse so severe that thousands of drivers in Atlanta abandoned their cars on icy highways and interstates.
And I'm from the South. I was raised in South Carolina, and I can tell you that in the South, we do not do cold at all.
Shane Campbell Staton was watching it all unfold from Harvard, where he was getting his PhD. He'd just wrapped up his last field season in Texas, studying the green anole lizard, and as he was scanning through photos of the storm, he came across something unexpected, a photo that included his research subject.
There's this one picture of a green anole that was upside down, dead in the snow, and that was sort of a eureka moment. And I thought to myself, well, maybe I should go back out and see if these populations that I'd just been studying, if they had showed any sort of response to this pretty extreme weather event in the South.
And so that's what he did, because here's the bit of serendipity. He'd actually been studying the cold tolerance of different populations of these lizards, and now the cold snap had just delivered the perfect experiment, a chance to see natural selection in action.
So I went back in April, right after these winter storms had subsided, and I noticed that in the South, like the southernmost population, the survivors of the storm were able to maintain function at significantly colder temperatures than the population before the storm. And this ability to maintain function at colder temperatures is something that we typically see much farther north.
He did genetic analyses too, and he found that the genes switched on in the surviving southern lizards overlapped with genes more typically turned on in their cold-hardy northern cousins. And the survivors also carried variations in their DNA that more closely matched northern lizards. So 3 things: cold tolerance, gene expression, even the gene variants the southerners carried suggested that this winter storm had indeed caused selection on the southern lizards. The analysis is in the journal Science. Campbell Staton, who's now at the University of Illinois and the University of Montana, is quick to point out that this isn't quite evolution yet. It's just one generation. He hasn't yet seen these traits passed down to another set of lizards. That's his next investigation. As for whether this is a good thing, the fact that some lizards are able to summon the ability to survive cold?
So the answer is both yes and no, potentially.
Yes, because if another cold wave rolls through, the surviving southern population will be better prepared, more cold tolerant. But
we know that selection comes at a cost, which is death. So the individuals that died during this particular winter event, they may have had genetic variants that would have allowed them to survive a heat wave or a drought or some other extreme event. And now those lineages are essentially gone.
The long-term forecast for the 21st century includes more of these extreme events, and more severe ones at that. So species that lose their genetic Swiss Army knife of adaptive tools may again be left out in the cold. Thanks for listening. For Scientific American's 60-Second Science, I'm Christopher Intagliata.
Now, here's a new concept: digital network advertising, where businesses display your ad inside their building. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, your company is going to thrive with digital network advertising. Choose your marketing sites or jump on the DNA system and advertise with all participants. Your business ad or logo is rotated multiple times an hour inside local businesses where people will discover your company. Digital network advertising, DNA, a novel way to be seen and remembered. Digital network advertising with networks in Redlands and Yucaipa. Call in the 909 area 222-9293 for introductory pricing. That's 909-222-9293 for digital network advertising. One last time, digital network advertising, 909-222-9293.
KCAA. Join the after rally party every day on Wild Ride Radio's Facebook page.
She's a pretty little thing with her head on right. Hits the books all day, works the club at night. She hits the stage.
That's right.
Thing. She's gonna bring the money on.
That's right, Micah. Thank you. My producer reminded me. How are you picking this up now, Micah? I thought you never paid attention to the show. Well, for those of you who don't know, Micah, my producer, he couldn't care less about motorcycles. Really, I still don't know why I keep him around. Every now and then he surprises me, but I guess he keeps me honest. And he reminds me every now and then when I forget to talk about stuff. Last week I was teasing the whole show about the other company that was doing really well against Harley-Davidson. And if you haven't heard the last show, I'll just recap it real fast. You can go to wildrideradio.com and listen to last week's show. Harley-Davidson is down like 9% overall with sales, and they're sinking even faster. They released their fourth quarter reports for 2016, and it's not looking good. It's looking grim, much for the same reason that they're searching out sleepers. And I neglected, and I completely forgot because I was on a rant last week, or a roll, And I forgot to mention what the other company was that was doing so well. And if you couldn't have guessed already, it's Polaris. And Polaris owns Indian Motorcycles now. They bought it several years back, and they've been revamping it and doing some retooling to the bikes, and they are doing really well. And so that's the other company that was fighting against Harley. So Harley's numbers were down 9% on the fourth quarter of 2016, and Indian, or Polaris, posted a increase of 21% in sales. And Indian motorcycle retail sales increased 17%. So Polaris, which makes a lot more than just Indian motorcycles, they were overall 21%, but they had a 17% increase in sales for Indian motorcycles. Now, that 9% shift from Harley-Davidson and 17% increase to Indian could be a lot of Harley owners either buying an Indian and keeping the Harley, or not buying a Harley and then purchasing an Indian. So it just goes to show you that people are kind of bailing a little bit on Harley. I know there's diehards and ones who are going to own a Harley and that's it forever, and that's fine. I'm not knocking that. I mean, I own a Harley too, but there are some people who are jumping ship and saying, forget it, I'm going to go with a different brand, and I think it's even more telling now than ever. So thank you, Mike. I wanted to get to that, and I almost forgot to do it even this show. So, okay, so I wanted to talk about this. This is by Visor Down. And again, this is out of the UK, the United Kingdom, over in London. So it's not here yet, but it could be coming. The motorcycle industry welcomes news of a 2040 ban on new petrol vehicles as a quote-unquote tremendous trigger for electric bikes. Now, the Motorcycle Industry Association has welcomed reports of a ban on new fossil fuel-powered vehicles from 2040, saying it will be a tremendous stimulus for bike makers. The government is due to announce a ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel vehicles from 2040 as part of an effort to tackle air pollution, according to several national newspapers. The measure is expected to include a ban on new hybrid vehicles and could mark the beginning of the end of the prevalence of the internal combustion engine in automotive transport. The announcement will be in line with a similar commitment already made by France, and we all know what industry leaders France is. What a joke. This whole article is a joke. Steve Kenward, CEO of the Motorcycle Industry Association, pointed out that no specific mention had been made of bikes, but added, I think there's a great opportunity for all the congestion-busting abilities of motorcycles and the abilities to make electric bikes. I think it's a tremendous stimulus for the motorcycle industry. It's a tremendous commercial trigger to push on with electric motorcycles. Now, in the UK, already, I don't know if you knew this, but in the UK right now, motorcycles made before 2017 are already set to be hit by about $15 in American money, $15 daily pollution toll for entering London after the year 2020. So if you own a motorcycle and you live in the UK and it was made before 2017, you have to pay a $15 a day fine for pollution, a pollution toll, if you're in London by the year 2020. So the powers that be in London have proven yet again they have absolutely no idea how economies work and what's going on. They're banning all internal combustion engines by the year 2040, including new hybrid vehicles. So you Prius owners, good luck. You thought you were out of it? Nope, you're not. Banned by 2040. Now, whether this sticks around and whether the UK pulls their heads out of their butts by then remains to be seen. But you got 23 years, 22 years almost, and all internal combustion engines in the UK will be banned. And my question is this, among many other questions I have floating around my head, but the main one is this. What happens if a power failure occurs? What happens? You idiots that drive the electric, either motorcycles or cars or whatever, and you think the power is always going to be there. It's not. It's not. power comes from somewhere, whether it's the sun or a coal plant or whatever. Power comes from somewhere. It's not just some magical fairy that sits behind your socket in your wall and helps you recharge stuff. Power comes from somewhere. And if that power is taken away, what happens? You're not going anywhere. You're walking. Right? And you would think that the UK would have to plan a little bit better as well. I mean, in the 1940s, the UK was getting the crud bombed out of them, actually 1930s, the crud bombed out of them by Germany. They didn't have electricity to save their life. I mean, they had nothing. The rolling blackouts, you name it. What would happen back then if all of the vehicles were run by electricity? It would shut down completely, right? And what I worry about is this kind of nonsense coming over to America. Thankfully, as long as the current administration is in power, I don't see this kind of gobbledygook legislation ever seeing the light of day. However, the past administration got pretty close to this type of stuff. They really did. Annoyingly close. To banning all internal combustion engines. Talk about going back to the Stone Ages. And this idiot, Steve Kenward, of the Motorcycle Industry Association, thinks that it's going to be a good thing for motorcycles. Well, I guess if you own an electric motorcycle, and in the UK is kind of small too, right? It's a small country, not a lot of places to travel. But you get, what, about 150 miles of charge if you baby it, and then you have to sit for 8 hours and wait for your battery to fuel back up again. Well, 150 miles in the UK, I guess, is a long ways. In the United States, in the Midwest, 150 miles is nothing. So you got to keep a sharp eye on this kind of nonsense. And I feel bad for people in the UK. I mean, with the influx of the refugees they have there and the constant terror threats and attacks they have and the crimes that are shooting through the roof, and the idiot mayor in all of his wisdom is focusing on banning internal combustion engines. That's the problem that the UK is choosing to focus on right now. And the Motorcycle Industry Association is all over it. Give me a break. I was born in the wrong century, I think. But we ended the show on a bad note. I apologize. But anyway, to make you feel better, why don't you get on a bike and go ride? And if you're a sleeper, go buy a bike and then go ride it. And if you're in Sturgis, get to Zero 3D's tent. Phenomenal. You'll see it's big, black and green. It's Zero 3D on it. It's got a picture of a snake on it as well. Go check out their parts. There's a lot of terrible parts in Sturgis, so siphon your way through those and get to Zero 3D's tent and see what they've got to offer before you spend any money, and you won't regret it. But I am Dallas Hageman for this Wild Ride Radio. I hope to see you wandering around up here somewhere. If I do see you, come up, say hi. I'll give you a free patch and a sticker from Wild Ride Radio, and just to say thanks for listening to the show. But I am Dallas Hageman for this Wild Ride Radio. Until we speak next week, riders, ride safe.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Down and out, tune in to the thing to be proud about. When you sacrifice and reach your goal, you can look back, clown, and laugh it out. You know the station that's so amazing, need inspiration and motivation. When you're in your mind with nowhere to go, well then welcome to the Matt Rock Show.
Good evening, everybody across the world. Tuning in here to the Matt Rock Show. I am your host this Monday evening for the next hour. My name is Matthew Rock, a.k.a. Matt Rock. And for everybody tuning in, we have here in the Inland Empire on the radio on 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM. We have people tuning in, listening, and watching. We want to say hello on KCAAradio.com and, of course, the MattRockShow.com on Spreaker. So many amazing platforms. We are so grateful that you are investing your time in your life this Monday evening or whatever evening it is that you are experiencing the show with us. So here in the studio, I have with me Dr. Brett Lucas. Not only is he my chiropractor, an amazing inspiration to me, but a good friend. How you doing, Brett?
Hey, doing well, man. How are you?
I am blessed and highly favored.
Hey, absolutely.
I'd be lying if I didn't say that. So tonight is going to be a good time. Once again, I just want to say thank you guys so much for investing your time with us. So before we jump into it, Brett, what I want to do actually is last week when I was a special guest, believe that or not, we had 3 amazing guest hosts, Vanessa, Tim, and we had Reza. So one of them asked a question, and the intention was for me to be as transparent and vulnerable as I could. And the Matt Rock Show mission is to inspire, motivate, and empower young men and women all across the world to live a life of courage, confidence, and passion. And although I feel like I brought 100% of myself to the table, there was one thing I missed out on. So I'm about to be very vulnerable, very blunt, very bold. There was a question that the question was, I believe Reza asked me that. He said, what was one of the lowest moments of your life? And I didn't answer that correctly. And there's no way that I would expect any of you to listen, to watch the show, without me leading by example. So I will give you the correct answer. I won't dive too much into it. Over the past, this was a couple years ago, really. So I was in a relationship. It wasn't a relationship, really, but I was single and I was seeing somebody. And it was a very physical relationship, but it was unhealthy. Very unhealthy for myself, my spirituality, basically my life, and very unhealthy for that young lady as well. And I don't mean younger than 18, of course. This was legal, but yeah, of course. It was very unhealthy for us mentally, physically, and in any sense of the word, just an unhealthy relationship. And what was crazy was I kind of hid behind that in shame and fear, feeling like people would figure the lowest of the moments of my life and had nothing to do with that woman, but really the decisions that I made in my life, how I treated somebody, and it wasn't terrible, but nonetheless, it just wasn't healthy. I wasn't being a man of God that I know I am and I should be, and I didn't lead that in the right way. So basically, I thought almost nobody knew, except a couple of people that I told. Little did I know the entire family that I live with knew for an entire year. And the night that one of my best friends, Tim, told me, he's like, bro, we knew since day one that you were going through this, that you did that. We love you. We support you. Let's go talk about it. I have never cowered so much in fear in my life. But God gave me the courage, the confidence, and the passion to go in there and trust these amazing people that I love and that I live with. And they supported me through what I believe is to be a very low moment in my life. And this was, like I said, when I was single prior to the relationship I'm in now. But there's the correct answer to that question. So I didn't feel right not answering that. So thank you to my friend that actually put me in check last week after they listened to the show. So we also had 2 more questions, Brett, from last week that I did not answer, and I will dive into them. I didn't pull them up, so hopefully I remember them correctly. So Sabrina Denice from Fountain Valley, California, asked, her question was, what is one of the most important aspects of a relationship between a man and a woman? I have 2 answers for that. Number 1 is Jesus. If you don't have Jesus at the center of your relationship, I'm not perfect. He's not always at the center of mine. I'm working on that. But you can't go as far as you want to if you don't have Jesus in your relationship.
Couldn't agree more.
And number 2 is passion. You must experience and have passion within your heart for your partner, and you must experience passion together on many different levels. If you don't have that, there's no flame that can keep your authentic and genuine relationship really something that can carry into the distance.
Right, and that's not necessarily just physical either, right? To clarify again,
Way
that's something that
more
branches into
than
every
physical
aspect.
passion.
Yeah.
Yes, spiritual, mental, and on many different levels, like I said. So thank you for that clarification. And the next question was from April Garcia out of Anaheim, California. So her question was, and I'm pretty much paraphrasing, I didn't pull this up, but basically, what was it that really shifted your journey and helped you get to where you are? Sorry, I didn't get the question exactly right, April, but that is a really good question. One thing I want to say is a lot of people, from my experience and what I've heard, is they're so stoked and excited, and they put me on this pedestal. Like, I host my own radio show. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, I never thought this would come. And they see that I own my own company. I'm doing a lot of things. I'm making moves in life. But nonetheless, I feel like I'm not even just getting started. I feel like God has so much more in store for me. And it's not even me. So one thing is trusting God, trusting Jesus, and he's my Lord and Savior. And when I trust him with my journey, he pulls me and pushes me so much farther along in life and uses me as a vessel to inspire people, encourage people. He gives me a platform like this and blesses me with incredible friends and people that inspire people, just like Brett here. And so 1 is trusting Jesus, and 2 is going out on a limb, living a life of courage, confidence, and passion. Without that, I wouldn't be here. So April and Sabrina, thank you so much for the questions. Hopefully I answered that authentically. There you go. Let's move on with the show.
Let's do it.
All right, Brett. So we're going to jump into solid rock talk. I'm going to take a moment from talking here. Our book this week is The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Now, here's the deal, you guys. You guys are listening to the show. You're watching the show. If you want to watch, you can head over to the mattrockshow.com//next episode. Click listen in live, watch now. So what this is about really is this is a three-way interaction. Brett and I here are chopping it up. We're having a good time for the next hour, but you are a part of that as much as we are. So we're going to be talking to you. Hopefully we deliver value that really makes an impact in your life. So here we go. So this week's book is The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. So, Brett, take it away. Tell us what this book is about and explain the impact it's had on your life.
Yeah, man. I mean, I could go on and on. This is something that has radically changed my life in the period of a few short weeks. The book essentially takes a lot of things that I had been doing, right, that I've been implementing as success tools, right, things like affirmations, things like doing visualization, right, picturing my life going to essentially the ideal, right, whatever my ideal is, and I've taken my time to define that. I've actually written down what my life purpose is and what my true definition of success is. So taking time to look at all those things, that's been a part of what I've been doing to become more successful over the last 8 to 10 months. But all those things are starting to get spread out throughout the course of my day, right? And I get busy, you get busy, everybody gets busy.
Big time.
And when that happens, things start to drop out of your life that shouldn't, right?
And that's a good thing.
It's really hard to stay focused on some of the things that are also going to be beneficial, though, right? So for me, these things were getting spread out, and it was a lot harder for me to dial in and really take my time to get everything set to make sure that I was going to have the best possible day, right? At that time, I was also feeling pretty guilty about sleeping in too much. I just had this feeling that I needed to wake up earlier.
Right there with you.
Right at that time, this book dropped in my lap, right? I wonder how that happened. But this book dropped in my lap, and what it essentially is you take these 6 things, all right, and you do them every single morning. You wake up an hour earlier. You can do it in less time. You can do it in more time. I took an hour the first day. I loved it so much. I did an hour and a half the second day,
Nice.
2 hours, and then I've done 3 hours. So I don't always do 3 hours, but I like to take more time because of the effect it's had
That's big time.
on myself. So I literally have started waking up 3 hours earlier than I ever used to, and I have more energy, and I've been able to accomplish much, much more in the 3-4 weeks that I've been doing this. But essentially, the 6 things, we're going to go into them now.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
I'll dive deeper into them later.
Okay, great. So the 6 things, they're called the Life Savers, S-A-V-E-R-S. So S is silence, prayer, meditation. The A is affirmations. So, I've written out my own set of affirmations. You can find affirmations online. There are a variety of affirmations out there, styles, lengths, all these different types of affirmations. But affirmations A. V is visualization, so taking time to actually picture yourself doing those things and living that life, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's today, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, picturing your perfect life and yourself living it. Feel it, every single detail. The E stands for exercise, so something quick. This isn't your real workout, right? This is something like do a couple of push-ups, burpees, squats, sit-ups, something to get the blood flowing, get your brain activated, get your body going. And then R is reading, so I take that time and I read my Bible for 10 minutes, and then I'll typically go into something else, some other sort of success book that I'm reading at the time. And then the last S is scribe, journal, something I've wanted to do for a long time. Finally, I've actually started to do it because of the Miracle Morning, and then that in itself has proven incredibly valuable for me.
That's powerful. So for those of you that don't feel like mentally you're not thinking that you have an hour, 2 hours, especially 3 hours, you're a rock star. I know you work full time. You have so many amazing things going on in life. For those of you that feel like you have minimal time, maybe this doesn't work out for you, of course, we're not all about excuses. We're about empowerment. That's what the Matt Rock Show is about. So check this out. You can take care of your miracle morning in 6 minutes. So if you feel like you're busy, this is for you. No excuses. Let's go. So minute 1, right after you wake up, sit in silence. All right? Minute 2, affirmations. Minute 3, visualization. Minute 4, scribing or journaling. Minute 5, reading. Minute 6, exercise. You can take 1 minute to be so present to those 6 categories, and you can alter your life. And then maybe work to 2 minutes a segment. And then 3, 5, 15, maybe an hour. Maybe you could be a rock star like Brett, 3 hours. So we are now accountability partners. High five for that.
let's
and
go.
I am starting my Miracle Morning Challenge tomorrow. So I'm going to be doing that over the next 30 days with the intention to do this for life.
Stoked for you, man.
So I'm excited. So thank you for this. Get an accountability partner. You guys can check out this book on Solid Rock Talk segment on the mattrockshow.com to dive in more. So moving on to our next segment. I know earlier you were talking about success. Now, I know everybody has different ideas and they visualize success so differently. People can get into
As they
debate.
should.
Yes, I love that. So, unique to you, what does success look like to you? There are 5 quotes that I got today from Jim Rohn that I appreciate so much. And whatever
He's
success,
incredible.
so amazing, and a mentor to many, including us. These 5 quotes on life success can really inspire you to achieve the success that you're looking for, striving for, and really just driving for in life that you want for yourself. So whatever that is, here are the 5 quotes. These pump me up. So if you need to rewind the show, check them out again. Number 1 from Jim Rohn. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge. Wish for more wisdom. Now, this is a challenge in itself to take these on. But check it out. Number 2. We must all suffer one of 2 things, Brett. He didn't say Brett in his quote, but I said Brett. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. I've experienced both. And the pain I would like to really take on is the pain of discipline. But it is a challenge. So which one do you want to experience for your life? Let's take on the pain of discipline. This man is leading by example, and I'm hoping to follow right with him. 3. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Everybody has their own idea of success. Of course, Jim Rohn does as well. Again, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, maybe the Miracle Morning, practiced every day. Number 4. If you are not willing to risk the unusual, you will have to settle for the ordinary. I feel like that's such a good one. I'm going to read it one more time. Actually, Brett, can you read that one for me?
Yeah.
It's number 4.
Yeah. If you are not willing to risk the unusual, you'll have to settle for the ordinary. And I think that's incredibly powerful. It's something that you can take and look at. You could look at that quote every single day, and that's something that will continue to motivate you to do the things that not everybody does, right? So you don't end up living the life that everybody else lives, where they're wishing for more or they're wishing that they'd done something differently. So that's that. It goes right along with that first one, right? Success isn't, it doesn't happen in a day, it happens every day.
Yes.
Right? It's something that you need to put time in every single day, or you're going to settle for that life of the ordinary, and that's not something that I want. It's not something that you want, and I don't think it's something that most of the people watching, listening want.
You know that's right. So number 5, cinco. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Everybody listening and watching, you have goals. And your goal for those goals is to accomplish them. Check it out. The bridge is discipline. So I hope you enjoyed those 5 quotes by, of course, Jim Rohn. I can't take credit for that myself. So moving forward, we are right on time. I love
it, man.
By the way, this show is only an hour, and we wish it was 3 hours because this is going to fly by. So
Absolutely.
If you guys have listened to the show, you've watched the show before, you know that this is a faith-based show. We are not telling you what to do or how to live your life, whatever that looks like. But we hope that the value that we take on in our lives, you are touched by that. You're moved by that, impacted, inspired, motivated, and empowered to if you want to take it on yourself and experience it like we do. Hopefully we're prime examples for that. So moving into this next segment on faith, I have a question for you, Brett. For you, what is the difference between religion and faith?
That's a really good question. That's one that I feel like people have written books about, and I'm not one of those people, but I guess I'll give it my best shot here. To me, religion is something that you have to do, right? Or at least that's the connotation behind it, right? Religion is something typically people say man-made. I'm not entirely sure I agree with that, but it is something in my mind that you feel like you have to do, or you can be made to feel guilty about. And something that I've heard multiple people say, some of my good friends, and I would consider them mentors and brothers, is God never makes you feel guilty, ever. And so sometimes I feel like people feel guilty about religion, and that's where I would say you need to take a step further and go into faith. And faith isn't something that you have to do or feel like you have to do, but it's something that you want to do. It's something that you actively, from the core of your being, it becomes who you are. And it's what you believe, and it becomes a guiding force in your life that's more powerful than a set of rules. If that maybe answered it, I don't know, rambled a little bit.
No, that answers it. That's perfect. I was excited to hear more, but we have so much to cover in this show. Thank you, man. So I have another question for you, but first let me introduce what I'm about to have you talk about. So there is a group, an extension of Rock Harbor Church in Costa Mesa, California, and that is called Alpha. And I've experienced Alpha. My girlfriend invited me down to that quite some time ago last year, and it's just been phenomenal. I have not been there as often, of course, as you have. You live locally. I know there was every Tuesday night they would have free dinner. Oh,
can't beat
the
that.
food.
Come
A
on.
lot of people come for the
Come
food,
on.
and they leave just their lives changed
Yeah,
because
you
of
go for
the
that alone.
community. Huh?
You can go for that alone and be happy.
Yeah, of course, and a lot of people do. They're so grateful for that. But the food's delicious, so you can experience that. You can experience a community of people that are really relevant to your situation. Some of them have a faith, some don't. Some have been to the church, some haven't. We all start somewhere in this journey. We all have a journey, by the way. But anyway, Alpha's been phenomenal. I know that they have a weekend away at the end of the Alpha series. This goes on a couple times a year. Both of these have been an impact to my life, but I know that they are such huge steps and aspects to your journey with Christ and your personal faith journey in life. So if you could tell me a little bit about what Alpha has done for you, what you appreciate so much about it, especially Weekend Away, how have they and that experience impacted your life?
Yeah. How I'm supposed to do this in just a couple of minutes, I have no idea. I'll try to keep it short. Alpha, for me, has been something that has radically impacted my faith. And it didn't, I don't want to say it didn't do it directly, because it played a major role in it, but it was really the other things that happened behind the scenes that Alpha was sort of the key to, right? It was the cornerstone to these other things all coming together. So for me, I was missing a number of things in my life, and one of those things, particularly faith-wise, one of those things was having good Christian men in my life, brothers that I could really fellowship with, talk to, open up with, be vulnerable with, and grow together with. And a man needs other men in his life, right? That's something, it's in a number of books, some that we've talked about before prior to this show.
It's so detrimental to our growth as men.
Right, if you don't have that. So that was something that I was missing, and I didn't realize that I was missing it. And I was in church one night, and I was praying during worship, and I was saying, you know what, I feel for some reason I need to get more involved. And then as soon as I said that, an announcement comes up, hey, we've got Alpha coming up, starting this Tuesday. And I'm like, yes, God? Is that, like, I don't know if you can be more clear. So I went to Alpha, and through the course of Alpha, ended up being invited to a men's Bible study. Now some of those guys are, honestly, some of my best friends. A couple of them, one buddy in particular, my buddy Mike, I meet every single week with him. I don't know if we've missed a week, maybe one. Since starting to do that, and it's been somebody that I can use as an accountability partner, right, that I can mentor and I can be mentored by at the same time. I can open up to, I can be vulnerable with, I can share what's going on in my life, in my week, in a place that I know isn't going to be a judgment, place of judgment, but it's also things that I wouldn't feel comfortable sharing with somebody else, like somebody I were in a relationship with. And so there's these relationships that we need to build, and Alpha helped lead me to those through a little bit of a roundabout way that I wouldn't have experienced before, and I would have been missing something and trying to put that responsibility on somebody else, which isn't fair, right? So that was a big, big change for me. Through that, a number of other things happened. My Costa Rica trip, which I think we'll talk about probably in a little while.
We will.
But, Alpha has been a chance for me to get together with people, help disciple people weaker than me, learn from people stronger than me, and walk with people who are in the same place I am. And it's been a really cool place to see some incredible life changes happen. Something that I'm going to be doing for a very long time.
No doubt. And what that really shows me is that everything in our journey at some point really does start with one step. And that step that you chose to make was calling out, praying, or just simply asking for what you were asking for. And it's crazy how immediate that prayer was answered. And not everything is answered the way that you hope or that you would expect it to be.
Right, yeah, that was a fluke. Don't expect that, everybody. That's like never happens ever. But yeah.
Yeah, so faith is not systematic like that.
Okay, nice so
yeah, we have a few more minutes before we move on to the next section. So earlier you had said you had read some books, and you are reading some books, of course, that have helped you on your journey as a man of faith. And one of those is Kingdom Man. I know that we've both read Wild at Heart. I have not hit Kingdom Man just yet. It is on my list for sure of books to experience. I know it's going to help me grow as a man.
Yep.
And if you can actually share a little bit of your experience with that book, maybe some ideas, if you can recall, that would inspire the young men across the world that are listening. Maybe it's going to help them on their journey as a man and also a man of faith. Would that be for them?
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of the first books that I'd read on biblical manhood, or really, becoming an upstanding man who's not, a man because you're, tough and don't cry and, you wear flannel and chop down trees all day, right? It's not like that.
With a lot
the
of chest hair?
cartoonish, right? It's becoming a man who's confident enough in himself, understands his value, understands what his responsibilities and roles are, not only in his life, but in the lives of people in his family and in his community, right? So as men, we have a lot more that we're responsible for than most men realize, especially now with the way society's going and, the turn that we've seen where men are almost backing down. Men don't want to stand up as much anymore. And it's
so
not
many
like
men don't want to.
Right. And it's because it's something that we're called to do, and occasionally when there's something that you're called to do, it becomes something that's difficult. There's a much greater reward, though, when you do something that's difficult. Right? So with this book, one of the coolest things to me that really stuck out in the book was, and it was by Tony Evans, I believe, don't quote me, but I'm almost positive. He did something with his wife, and he talked about this in the book, and he had a system, or a signal rather, where he would do this. So you guys watching, you can see what I'm doing is I'm holding up my hand and I've got 3 fingers up. And what this would mean is it means I've got it, right? It means those 3 words. So anytime there was something going on in his relationship with his wife, if there was something going on at the home, if there was something going on, anything related to anything that she was involved in, he would take the responsibility for it as the man, right? Now, that didn't always mean he was going to fix it or solve it, right? He talks about that in the book. He goes, not everything always works out.
But he stepped up.
But he stepped up, and he said, I've got it, right? 3 fingers, I've got it. Regardless of what happens, you don't need to worry about it anymore. So he's stepping up and taking the responsibility for whatever the outcome might be. So that then allows his wife to fall into the role that she is supposed to be in, which is, biblically following in his footsteps and allowing him to lead and supporting him in that, because she can trust that he's going to be doing that in a way that's going to be protecting her. So it gives her more freedom when she doesn't have to worry about things that aren't her job, because he stood up and did his job, right? And I love that so much, not only for what that's going to do in my future marriage, right, but what that's going to really do in every aspect of my life. As a man, I think to that now, and I think, there are times when I've got to say I've got it, right? Now, even if I'm saying it to myself, sometimes I'll do that, and I'll literally hold up 3 fingers, and, people in the room might think I'm nuts or whatever, but
who cares?
It's something that symbolizes to me it's time for me to step up and take responsibility. Whether or not it works out, all I know is that is now on me, and I can't blame anybody else because I stepped up.
That's powerful.
It's freeing.
Yes.
Even when it doesn't work out, it's freeing.
Big time. I love it, man. I remember we actually talked about that when we were in the mountains. I forgot if it was Big Bear, wherever we were at. We were talking about, I can't wait to read that book. So I've got it. Moving forward, if you guys are just tuning into the show, and thank you, Brett.
Absolutely.
If you guys are just tuning into the show, Carlos, we here at the station, of course, want to say...
To the Matt Rock Show. Welcome to the Matt Rock Show. Welcome to the Matt Rock Show. Welcome to the 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 Matt Rock Show.
It's an awesome intro, man.
I love it, man. Thank you, Jimmy Powers. You are the man. So blessed. We do it big here on the Matt Rock Show. All right, moving forward, as I introduced you, Dr. Brett Lucas, you are my chiropractor and a chiropractor to so many people. So many people appreciate you, man. You are making a difference. So you got it. But honestly, you're making a difference in so many people's lives, not just because of who you are, not just because of what you stand for, especially as a man, but also as a chiropractor. You got people's backs, man, literally.
Yeah.
So, so I went into your office recently. I got an x-ray done, and your spine from the front or back is supposed to look like this. Mine was definitely a C. And I'm grateful for the opportunity that I have with you to get that fixed, man. So you are now on my team. So this past this past weekend, were you in Minneapolis?
I was, yeah.
Minneapolis, there we
yes,
go.
sir.
You just flew out, and I saw you on stage speaking, not from there, but from Facebook
yeah.
Live.
Yep.
You rocked it, man. There's
Thank you,
confidence, and you got it. Confidence and passion just really flows through you when you speak. You're a powerful presence. So you got to speak in front of 150 of the top chiropractors. I don't know where from, but that's big time.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was that like for you?
So yeah, 150 of the top chiropractors in the United States, which is the largest population of chiropractors.
Ooh.
So, you could argue the world. But, what did that mean to me?
Yes.
It was an incredible experience. I was very blessed, very, very happy and grateful for the chance to do that. It was something that I'd visualized myself doing. Now, again, we talked about all this visualization, affirmations, all these things, and I'd pictured myself on that stage because I go out to Minneapolis about 6 or 7 times a year for seminars, and just to get my field, get redialed in, to get calibrated back to what I should be and who I should be striving to be. And so I was visualizing myself on that stage. Now, I didn't picture it happening last weekend. I pictured it being much further in the future than that.
Right.
But it's powerful when you start to do these things because things happen when they're supposed to, not always when you want them to. So I was pushed a little bit. I'm not going to lie. It was pushed me a little out of my comfort zone. But God also gave me an incredible peace about it because I essentially prayed to him. I said, let me speak and let it be your words. Let it be your will. Don't speak, don't let me speak, but speak through me. So he gave me this confidence that he was going to do that, and people were going to hear what they needed to hear. So it allowed me to go up there and relax and just deliver. And it was something that was an awesome experience, and I can't wait to go back and do it again. I'm going to be on that stage again soon.
Yeah, you are.
And, and hopefully many, many more because it was a fantastic thing. And I know that I reached out to some people because, I had numerous people coming up to me afterwards telling me that I'd touched them in some sort of way during that speech. And it was powerful for me to hear that.
It was powerful for all of us that got to experience that. And that inspired me, too, as a public speaker. And I do believe that when we step out on faith, God steps in. And that's exactly what he did for you, man, as a vessel. So that's incredible. So what are some of the health benefits of chiropractic care? Why should people do this? I know a lot of people, and I used to be one of them, sees chiropractic care really as a luxury, like a massage, as a luxury. Maybe it's something I could pay for when I have more money. But I do believe there is an importance to chiropractic care. And then when you see somebody's grandmas and grandpas looking like this, you see the importance. I'm not trying to look like that when I'm older. We got to take care of ourselves, not only with our nutrition, but chiropractic care. I do believe that. And I'm grateful for also your expertise and your knowledge and you being on my team for this. So could you explain some of the importance and health benefits and why for chiropractic care?
Yeah, man, this is, again, something I could go on for hours on, and it's something that I get incredibly passionate about. It's something that really, it's not a career for me. And there was a time when it was. There was a time when that was a career, and that was before I really learned the philosophy behind chiropractic. Why chiropractic? At that point, to me, chiropractic was back pain, neck pain, headache. And that's what it is for most people. I'm sure most of you listening, if you have heard of chiropractic, you're going to immediately associate it with back pain, neck pain, headache, maybe a couple of other symptoms thrown in there. But in its core, chiropractic is not about symptoms at all. And that might confuse some people because you say you're a doctor, you're supposed to be taking care of people and making them feel better. And while that's true, that's not the purpose of chiropractic. That's not really how chiropractic works.
I'm over here fixing my posture. Just
yeah, right.
I'm right.
Like I'm judging you or something.
Because I'm like this.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
Yeah, so I mean, it really isn't about fixing those things. What it's about is, and there's, oh man, I'm already getting like fired up here.
I love it.
There's something called innate intelligence in everybody, right? And that's something that I believe God instilled in every single person. You may not have faith, but everybody has innate intelligence, and I can promise you believe in innate intelligence because what took you from 2 cells and turned you into a human being? There's some sort of guiding factor, and that is innate intelligence, right? So you can call it something that God put in you, or you can call it something else. That's fine, but there's some sort of innate intelligence in the body that took you from 2 cells and turned you into a human being. That doesn't stop once you're born. And that's where a lot of times people think the miracle of birth, right? The miracle of birth, it's incredible, but how about the miracle of life? The fact that people go from two cells into a human being, and throughout the entire course of their life, from conception to death, there's this thing called innate intelligence that is running and organizing every single function that happens in your body. You don't think to make your heart beat. Something else is doing that. You don't think to digest your food, right? You just popped a mint. You're not sitting there going, okay, you know, release extra saliva. It's going to go down into my stomach. I've got to release all these other things, break it down. I've got to take all the little building blocks from that and turn them into whatever good things I can in my body.
None
right?
of that
all
process
of those
in
things,
my mind.
Yeah. All of those things are happening, though, every single day, every single millisecond. And the thing that guides it is innate intelligence. And innate intelligence is allowed to do that through the nerve system. So the brain is the supercomputer in the body. I ask people all the time when I do health talks and we do different events, what runs the body? And about half the time people say brain, and about half the time people say heart. So that just goes to show so many people don't know what really is controlling the body, and that's the brain. And it does that because that's where that innate intelligence is essentially stored. It travels down the nerve system to every single organ, cell, tissue, gland, muscle in the entire body, telling it what to do and when every single millisecond. So if there's a blockage, hypothetically, you're not going to be able to function the way you should be functioning, right? So let's take, for example, the nerve to your heart. If I cut the nerve to your heart, what happens? Your heart dies.
Pretty much.
You're not doing well, right? So what if I take that nerve and I cut 50% of it? Are you sicker or healthier?
Sicker.
Sicker. So if I were to take that nerve where it comes out of the spine and pinch it and kink that hose, so 50% less function in that nerve, are you going to be sicker?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I just want to get the right answers here.
Yeah.
Like,
I should have gone over this with you ahead of time so you knew exactly. But yes, obviously, right? You're going to be sicker. And so what I do as a chiropractor is I don't necessarily look at that and say, okay, somebody's going to have pain up here in the upper neck or tension because that's where those nerves come out. And that might be something that you feel, but you don't feel your heart. And 80% of the time, the first symptom of heart disease is death by heart attack or stroke.
Ooh.
So if that person doesn't feel bad, were they healthy? No. And so what I do as a chiropractor is I relieve the pressure from the nerve system so that your innate intelligence can function properly, so your body can do what it's supposed to do, right? And when your body can do what it's supposed to do, you're going to feel better. When you function better, you will feel better. If I remove just biomechanical stress off the spine, yes, your low back pain is most likely going to go away. Your neck pain, most likely going to go away. Headaches, most likely going to go away. But what about the pancreas problem that you can't feel that could be leading to an insulin, insulin release issue that's making you predisposed to diabetes, and you have no idea? But that's something that, as a chiropractor, it frustrates me because my profession has done a terrible job of educating people. People don't know that. And so people say it's a luxury. They say, I feel fine, and that's fine, but you can have up to 40% loss of function of an area of your body and not have any symptoms.
Ooh.
So you could be functioning at 60% power in your heart and not have any idea. Now, we wonder why heart disease is such a big issue in this country, especially when, again, those nerves come from right here. And what is everybody doing all day on their computer?
Hunched over.
Hunched over, looking
Chipping
down,
away
head
at it.
forward.
Yep.
And so that's a place that's going to have a lot of stress. Heart disease, one of the top killers in the United States. Is that a coincidence? Absolutely not. Something called the Windsor autopsies. A doctor did a bunch of autopsies of bodies, and every single heart disease case, the nerve or the spinal segment where the nerves came out that fed into the heart had dysfunction in it. Same thing, everybody that died of liver-related causes, the section of the spine responsible for the nerves going to the liver was under dysfunction. Kidneys, same thing. Every single case had that. So if there's dysfunction in your spine that you're not feeling, you need to have that addressed because you don't know what you don't know.
Big time. So for those of you that are watching internationally, we have a lot of countries that we've actually hit with the show, and will. If you're watching internationally or you're watching across the country, we are here in the Inland Empire in Orange County, California. Reach out for some referrals if you are inspired or touched to make sure that you take care of your body with chiropractic care.
Absolutely. That's something, to me, it's, like I said, it's a passion. So it's not a career for me. It's not, I don't care if you're going to come see me or if you're going to go see somebody next door to me or if you're going to go see somebody down the street, a different county, a different country. If you hear this and you feel like you've got something that might be going on that you want to get checked out, you've got no pain, great. If you've got something that you're like, I've got a severe health issue and I feel like if my body functions better, I can be better, which is true, then reach out to me and I will absolutely do my best to find a referral for you, somebody who's going to be good and can take good care of you in your area so that you can get the health care that you need.
Thank you so much for that. And you can actually get a hold of Brett via email. You can also follow him on Instagram, add him on Facebook. All of that information will be available on themattrockshow.com. Underneath the tab of Season 1 episodes, scroll down, you'll see Episode 12 with this guy on it, and you'll be able to reach right out to him. Make sure that you do. That'll be available after the show starting tomorrow. So moving forward, we're going to talk about adventure for a little bit. Really looking forward to this. So adventure is something that I think everybody wants to take a part of in life. They want an adventurous life to live. They want to experience an adventure. Not many people do. They don't live a life of courage, of confidence, or passion. So hopefully over these next 20 minutes we can really inspire you, motivate you, encourage, empower you to take on a life of adventure. So one of the adventures I know that you undertook, an adventure looks like whatever it is that makes you feel joyful and many other things. One of the things that you've experienced, Brett, I saw, and if you saw on the mattrockshow.com, a picture of you skydiving.
Yes.
I'm terrified to go skydiving. I may or may not do that one day.
Oh, you have to. That's a may. You may do it.
Peer pressure. So I guess I will one day.
That's right.
Got to put a date on that. Oh, boy. But what was that like for you, very briefly? And, yeah, what was your favorite part about that?
Oh, man. One of the coolest things I've ever done in my entire life. I mean, I was laughing, screaming, I mean, the whole everything,
Falling
right?
to your death. Yeah.
It was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. I went for a friend's birthday. We went down, we jumped out of Oceanside, and I was lucky enough, I think lucky, I don't know, I was the front of the plane. And so for me, I don't know if any of you guys have seen the movie Point Break, right? The classic Point Break with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, unbelievable movie, adventure sports, action, all that stuff. But when they go skydiving, that's always been something that I thought was insanely cool, and I would love to do it one day. Had the opportunity to do it, jumped on it, and I was in the front of the plane. So I was in the very first one out, and I was sitting up there with all the professional jumpers, right?
Yep.
All my friends were behind me. I couldn't see them because you're strapped on to somebody else. You're going tandem. And
getting chills.
And I was the first one, and so the guy just kind of scoots us up towards the edge, and he goes, "You ready?" I go, "Yeah, sure." And next thing I know, I'm out of the plane flying. Like, there was no take a second, think about it. There's nothing, and I loved it because it was pure, unadulterated, just go juice. Like, it was awesome. You're just out, and I mean, there's literally nothing that can compare to it. And people get worried all the time because I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah, big time.
I mean, look, if you've flown in planes before, so while you're in the plane, it's not that big a deal because you feel safe in the plane. And then once you're out, you're so high that your brain can't really compute it. You've never been that high outside of a plane before.
Right.
So your brain can't compute that and go, "Oh, I'm afraid I'm going to fall off and hurt myself," because you're so high. So it's a completely different feeling than I expected to feel. But the adrenaline was real. The fun was real. I landed, and I want to eventually get certified. I want to go do solo dives all over the world. That's how powerful of an experience it was for me.
That's inspiring. I hope that I do it one day. And I know that the phrase
I'll go with you.
Okay, thank you. I know that the phrase one day or someday is a dream killer right down your life.
That's right.
Killer, so, all right. So next adventure, you went to Costa Rica. We'll have to breeze through this in a minute or two. But Costa Rica recently for you, I don't know if it was late 2016 or early 2017, but what was that like for you? Because I know that you invited people. You ended up going by yourself.
Right.
And, that's inspirational in itself to travel by yourself, to step out on a limb like that. What was that like for you, that adventure?
So it was December, late 2016.
Okay.
And I felt like I was reading all these books, Kingdom Man, I was reading Wild at Heart, all these different books on biblical manhood or on just manhood in general and how we need to explore. We need adventure. That's something that men crave, and most men let that part of them die, and they wonder why they're unhappy.
Yes, and check out episode 3 of the Matt Rock Show to dive deeper into, of course, Wild at Heart.
Yes. So I was reading that book. I heard a couple different people speak things at a seminar. I heard different sermons. People spoke things to me, and all of those things, for some reason in my mind, were just encouraging me to go out on a limb and do something and go somewhere. So I decided I was going to go to Costa Rica. I've always wanted to do a surf trip somewhere, and that just Costa Rica's always sounded good to me. So I decided I was going to go, asked a couple people, really only asked my brother. He couldn't go. I thought it'd be a cool bonding experience for us. He couldn't go, and it ended up working out really, really well, because what it did was it forced me to get out of my comfort zone completely and go to a foreign country by myself. I've been learning my Spanish, so I could speak with some people, so that helped.
Yeah.
But having jumped on that opportunity, I had I had the most powerful experience of my entire life on my way back from Costa Rica because of that trip. And that's something that would not have happened. And I wish I had so much more time to dive into it, but that would not have happened, and I wouldn't have experienced that if I weren't willing to just go for it and do something that was just a little bit scary.
I love it, man. That inspires me too. So I should be taking some travel trips soon. So let's see. You have 3 tips. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. 3 tips to inspire and really empower you as the viewer and listener to take action towards living a life of adventure or increased adventure. What are your brief 3 tips for those that are listening and watching that can help them live a life of adventure?
All right, so 3 tips. First one, listen. You need to listen intentionally, right? So it's not just listen to what people say, but it's listen as in pay attention to what might be being spoken to you at a deep level, right? You can hear things from many, many different sources telling you what you should be doing or where you should be going if you just are able to listen. So that's my first one. If I didn't do that, if I didn't listen to the book and to the people that were speaking into my life, I never would have had the idea to go. Second one would be go with your gut. Once you have that feeling, maybe I should do this, do it. And the longer you wait, the more you're going to hesitate, and the less likely you're going to be doing it exponentially. That drops so fast. So if you don't go with your gut, if you feel like you got to go, your innate mind is so incredibly powerful. If it says to do it, do it. And then the last one is, for me, this is something that's personal, but it may help some of you guys. Everything that I do is based on me picturing who I want to be and then trying every day to get closer to that person, right? Not necessarily to think of things I want to do, but who do I want to be? Not what I want to have, but who do I want to be, right? And I want to be that person who's looking back at all of these fun adventures and memories and things that he had, not that person going, oh, I wish I'd have done that one time. So for me, anytime I'm a little, should I do this or not? Should I push it off a couple of weeks? It helps me to go, no, I want to be that person who looks back and goes, I did it.
Be like Nike and just do it.
That's right.
Free marketing for Nike right there. I love it, man. I as well have 3 tips for you. Now, when you think about the word adventure, you might think about traveling. You might think about going across the world. You might think about doing scary things and things that make your heart beat faster. There are some things that I want to encourage you to do. Hopefully these 3 touch you in some way. These could be everyday life things. So number 1 is brain dump a fear list. So mind dump. You sit down and put 10 minutes on the clock, and whatever comes to mind when you think about what am I afraid about, what scares me, write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down. And then after you're done, after the 10 minutes, be like, great, I have my fear list. Now I'm going to attack this fear. I'm going to face it, and I'm going to conquer it for a week. It'll be a work of progression and a journey, but take that. You ready to take that on?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've done this before, and it's been big time for me. So try that out. It's going to make your heart beat faster, and it's a journey in itself to face and conquer a fear. Number 2, for all the single ladies, all the single fellas out there, try this. We are in an age of a digital age. So many people are using Instagram and Facebook and text to reach out to people, and they don't know how to approach them in person. Try this out, and I know the ladies are going to appreciate it when you do it. And if the ladies have courage to do this, try it out as well. So if you're single, while out and about, wherever you are, introduce yourself to an attractive stranger. You see an attractive stranger, and you're like, wow, they're attractive. So guess what? Go up to them with confidence. Don't hang your head down. Look at them, strive towards them in confidence, and tell them that you couldn't help but notice how attractive they were and that you had to introduce myself. Hey, I just had to tell you that you are extremely attractive. You're very pretty. My name is Matthew. How are you doing today? Who's gonna not appreciate that? Even if they're with somebody, they'll say, that was flattering, thank you so much, I'm in a relationship, they might move on. But that takes a lot of courage, and that's gonna get you extremely out of your comfort zone, and guess what? You might find a life partner out of that. But that is a journey in itself, and that's gonna be pretty fun. If I were single, that's exactly what I would be doing as well, instead of behind a computer screen, afraid to show somebody my true self. Try that on for size. Number 3, sing your favorite song bold and loud for all to hear. I was in the shower yesterday, and I was jamming to Aladdin Broadway, and I was singing so loud, and I thought, you know what, if I'm going to live a life of courage, confidence, and passion, I might as well just belt it out. I am not a singer. Well, if I literally sing, I'm a singer, I suppose, but I'm not a great one, I don't think, and it really was freeing. So, Brett, I think we may or may not have we actually may have a song for you to sing today.
Oh, boy.
This should be a good time. So for the viewer and listener pleasure, Carlos, let's take it away for Brett and a little bit of Zach Brown Band. Have fun, and feel free to bring it up a little bit.
After all this talking.
After all this talking, sing away. Have fun.
She'd take Colorado if he'd take her with him.
That deep voice, man.
Closes the door for the winter, lets the cold in, and wonders if her love's strong enough to make him stay. She's answered by the taillights shining through the window pane. He said, I want to see you again, but I'm stuck in colder weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Can I call you then? She said, you're a rambling man, and you ain't ever gonna change. You got a gypsy soul to blame, and you were born for leaving. At a truck stop diner just outside of Lincoln. The night is black as the coffee he was drinking, and in the waitress' eyes he sees the same old light is shining. He thinks of Colorado and the girl he left behind him. He said, I want to see you again, but I'm stuck in colder weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Can I call you then? She said, you're a rambling man, and you ain't ever gonna change. You got a gypsy soul to blame, and you were born for leaving. Born for leaving. Well, it's a winding road when you're in the lost and found. You're a lover, I'm a runner, and we go round and round. And I love you, but I leave you. I don't want you, but I need you. You know it's you that calls me back here, baby. Oh, I want to see you again, but I'm stuck in colder weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Can I call you there? 'Cause I'm a rambling man. I ain't never gonna change. Got a gypsy soul to blame, and I was born for leaving. Born for leaving. When I close my eyes, I see you. No matter where I am, I can smell your perfume through these whispering pines. I'm with your ghost again. It's a shame about the weather, but I know soon we'll be together. And I can't wait till then. I can't wait till then.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for stepping out on Courage. You rocked that, dude.
Hey, thanks, brother.
I dream most days of waking up super sick, so I had a deep voice like that. I know so many people appreciated that, loved it. That was very entertaining and enjoyable. Thank you, man.
Hey,
Killed
thank
it.
you. Yeah, thanks.
So we're about to close the show in just a minute. Carlos, don't play it yet, but if you can actually pull up Zach Brown Band, Chicken Fried, we might actually duet on that in a moment. Why not?
Oh, boy.
But now to close out the show, Brett, I want to say thank you so much for being a special guest on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me, man.
Of course, it's been an honor and a privilege to have you here. Thank you so much for rocking with me and rocking with us as a community, as a movement, globally. Of course, the Matt Rock Show is all about, and you could play the closing song. This show is all about inspiring, motivating, empowering people to live, young men and women to live a life of courage, of confidence, and of passion. And I feel like we're leading people in the right direction. So thank you so much. You guys take the Matt Rock Show with you wherever you go. It's not about me. It's not about Brett. It's not about us. It is about you and all of us collectively living a life worth living. Step out on fear. Let God move in your life. Go to themattrockshow.com to share this with people and to check out next week's episode where my girlfriend, Lindsay Chandler, will be the special guest.
That one might get spicy. Keep it G-rated.
Oh, PG. It's going to be a good time. We may or may not duet. Oh, I can't wait. That'll be so fun.
Me neither. I'm going to be watching.
There we go. I appreciate it. We love you guys. Tune in next week. Share this with your family and your friends. Check us out on the Matt Rock Show YouTube as well. And you ready to duet to a little bit of Zach Brown Band to close out the show? We got 3 minutes.
All right.
Yeah? Chicken Fried. Let's play it.
Sunrise, there's a fire in the sky. Never been so happy, never felt so high.